Ikusasa Niakula Tando Niakula Kelingelanga Untando Luya Pusa Jikelele Kulim Piara way too. Es una historia de mañana. Es una historia de amor. Es una historia que el morenera, que el monstruo hundo. Es una historia que mi corazón. Hey! All right, let me cut it off. Today can this melody, so I try to put it in words how I feel. Tomorrow will be looking at me. And here I'm singing of tomorrow. I am singing of love. Throughout this world of ours, let's go singing of love for love. Okay. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me. It is everything fresh and sassy. How are you? I hope all is well with you. I do. Mind, body, spirit, and in health. When I say that thing, I mean that thing because listen. Okay. Part of my prayer every day is to thank Yahweh that I have the ability to see, smell, taste, hear, touch, feel, talk, and walk and be autonomous. I have seen so many young folks who are laid up in the bed, can't talk, can't move, can't walk, can't sit up, can't swing the feet off the side of the bed, got feeding tubes stuck down their nose to feed them. And I mean, these people are like in their 20s and 30s, and I'm like, oh, dear Yahweh, what is going on? Whew. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful for the health and the life that I have. I don't take the ability of being able to do this and to do this. I don't take for granted the fact that I can do this. I can do this. I can run. I can walk. I don't take these things for granted. I'm looking at so many people who are locked up in their minds. Can't get their mind right. People who are locked up in their bodies can't even sit up and swing their feet off the side of the bed. Want to take off and walk away, want to take off and run from a situation or their physical circumstances, and they can't. I don't take this for granted. Can't even wipe their own behind. They have to rely on the kindness of strangers to help them with the basics. Washing your face, brushing your teeth, washing your hair, your body, feeding yourself, getting up and down and in and out of the tub and shower and in and out of a chair, waiting for somebody to come and turn you because you got sores bigger than your fist on your hips and back. I don't take this thing called health for granted. I don't, and I do my very best to take care of it. Now, I've always said I don't qualify anything that I do. Whatever I do here, I do it, and I don't owe anybody any explanations or like I said, I don't have to qualify anything I do on my channel, but just to address the elephant in the room. Yes, I know my face is lighter than the rest of me because I wanted a tan and I achieved said tan. And then I decided today I was going to put on a little foundation because my tan, after you get a tan, your tan starts to peel and my face and other parts of me are peeling, right? So I said, let me put on a little foundation just to kind of even things up. And I forgot, my foundation is lighter now than what the rest of me is. I'm peeling, I'm peeling, I'm peeling. So I said, darn, I should really wash this off. And I actually have a makeup that is this color, but I can't find it. Okay. And I said, well, maybe I should just wash the makeup off. But I thought, no, I'm looking a little too cute. I don't want to do it. Even if the color ain't matching, if it ain't, it don't go together. It's not going. I'm cute. I'm cute. I'm feeling myself. What can I say? Anywho, I hope y'all are well. I really do. I had been going through some things over the last, let's see, when did this start? Let's say August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. For the last 9 months, I've been going through things, okay, with my skin, my hair, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And I have learned the best thing for me to do when I'm going through something. Oh, who is that? Who is that? Love Piano 99. Hello, how is your day going? My day is going very well, and I hope yours is too. Thank you for tuning in. Um, but anyway, I had been going through things with my hair and my skin, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And I have learned the best thing for me to do when I'm going through something is not to come here and say, y'all, I'm going through this and this is happening. And so I went and I got this and I'm buying this and I'm using this and I'm using that. And then, it's possible I could be sending other people who might be going through the same thing. I could be sending them in the wrong direction because I thought what was wrong was this, and I thought what I needed was that to deal with what I had going on. And now I've sent myself and maybe some other folks in the wrong direction, and I don't want to do that. So when I'm going through something, my best thing to do is to have a seat and just get quiet. Go through what you have to go through. And then once you got it figured out, maybe, and I say maybe you can come and talk about it. I can come and talk about it. Because sometimes I think I got things figured out. Because at one point I thought I had this thing figured out. Why was my skin going through the changes it was going through? My skin was so dry. I'm talking about my arms, my chest, my neck. It was like sandpaper. When I moved, it felt like my skin was just going to crack open because it was so dry. And of course, the doctor says, well, this is menopause. Your skin does dry out, and all these other things. Um, and I said, okay, well, yeah, it might be that. And we can talk about HRT. No, we can't. Go away, move back. No, thank you. If it's working for you, if that's what you're doing, by all means continue on your path. But for me, I don't want to use HRT because of um, the possible side effects and illnesses that can occur when you're on HRT. I watch a lady, her channel is called Black Yoga Room, and she just had a hysterectomy, an automated hysterectomy. And she was having some issues with sleeping and some other things. And so she talked to her doctor, and her doctor suggested HRT. And I'll catch your comment in just a second. I got to keep my thought, or else I forget what I'm saying. But anyway, um, the doctor put on some HRT, and she said the first night she was on it, she slept like a baby. And she said she was really having a lot of problem getting to sleep. And so she said she slept like a baby, but then she started having other symptoms as a result of the HRT. I won't go into that because I'm not trying to badmouth or speak negatively about anybody's practice or um, how they're, healing or dealing with menopause. So um, she was on it for, I think, about a week or two or so, and then she started having some other side effects and decided that HRT was not worth the side effects she was having, to then have to go back to her doctor and have to get something else to address the side effects of the thing that was supposed to be helping her. Um, so uh, when my doctor told me that this dryness of my skin, I mean, my skin was just like sandpaper. It looked like sandpaper. It felt like sandpaper. And every time I moved or turned my head, it was like I could hear my skin just crack. It was terrible. It was terrible. And this lady was talking about how dry her lips were. She was talking about she was putting like a glob on the top lip and a glob on the bottom lip, and waking up in the morning and her lips were dry and the Vaseline was completely gone, probably rubbed off in the pillowcase, but still her lips were really dry. And menopause, menopause. So anyway, the things that I have noticed is, number one, my hair is not growing. It is not growing. My hair is the same length it was. This is 2026. My hair is the same length it was in 2024, which is about shoulder length right here. Okay. And it has not grown. And then I say I started going bald in the top of my head. My hair was getting really, really thin. I noticed then, since I stopped doing one thing, that it is starting to fill in, and I think that one thing really caused me to lose hair, and not only lose hair, but to have my hair not grow. And this is the length of my hair. Like I said, it's shoulder length. Well, maybe a little past the shoulder. And it has been this length since 2022. Yeah, 2022. My hair has been the same length, and it won't grow. It has been this length for, this is 26. It has been this length for 4 years. And then, like I said, I started going bald in the top of my head. Um, my part was really, I just parted it with my finger. I had this really, I still have it. It's a really wide part in the top of my head. And I'm trying to do basically what my daughter does, because my daughter's hair, um, her hair is a little bit longer than mine, maybe by an inch or so. And my daughter doesn't do anything to her hair. She doesn't brush it. She doesn't comb it. She washes her hair like once a week. And after she's washed it, conditioned it, detangled it, she puts it up in a bun. She wears a bonnet in the house. She don't go out with the bonnet. And she doesn't do anything to her hair. And I said, you know what? I need to do the same thing, because the more you manipulate your hair, especially if you feel like you're losing hair or your hair isn't growing, the more you manipulate and mess with your hair, the more it's going to fall out. So I used to wash my hair, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it. I used to wash my hair every day. I take a shower every day. So it's like I didn't want my hair not to smell like my body. I didn't want my hair to be sour and my body be, smelling like I just got out the shower. So when I was in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, I would wash and condition my hair every day. So I said, well, maybe I need to do that. And then I noticed also, when I would wash my hair, that my scalp would burn and feel like pins and needles when I would let the water hit my scalp. So what did I do? I started washing my hair, because my scalp was also very dry and itchy. Again, dry skin, dry scalp, menopause. You get where I'm going. So um, I said, well, I'm going to go back to the old landmark and get myself some old fashioned Head and Shoulders shampoo to help with the itching of my scalp. And I have to tell you, after that first shampoo with the Head and Shoulders, I can't tell you, my skin, everything was itching. My entire body was itching. When I tell you, it was dry, and crackly. It just felt so dry. Everything was itching, and my scalp was too. After I took that Head and Shoulders and washed my hair with bottled water instead of letting the shower water hit my scalp, because I don't know if it's the bleach or the not bleach but the chlorine that they put in the water to clean the water up. I don't know if that was my skin was being sensitive to the chlorine in the water. I don't know what it was, but every time I would wash my hair, my scalp would burn and feel like pins and needles. And that first time I washed my hair with the Head and Shoulders and the sparkling water, it took 4 bottles to wash my hair. My scalp was just, it was just feeling so peaceful and so, it just felt so much better. It just, my scalp was just thanking me. It was just feeling so much better. So I used Head and Shoulders shampoo, and I used, what did I use? Head and Shoulders shampoo and bottled spring water. And then I made some rosemary oil. I got some avocado oil, and I put 4 sprigs about that long into the avocado oil, and I let it sit for about 5 days. And then when I got ready to wash my hair with the Head and Shoulders and spring water, after I did that, I went through my hair with a ketchup bottle, and I had put the rosemary oil into the ketchup bottle and just went through and put it on my scalp like so, and then massaged it in, right? And then I put on my homemade conditioner. Hold up. I just made this morning because I think I'm going to wash my hair tonight. This is 1 cup of avocado oil, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Oh, a tablespoon of vanilla extract and a teaspoon of blueberry extract, just to make it smell good, right? And then I mixed it up with the immersion blender. Basically, this is mayonnaise with vanilla and blueberry extract. This is how you make mayonnaise, except for there's no mustard in here. You would put mustard in here to make mayonnaise. So I use the immersion blender, and this is my conditioner, homemade. So I have another bottle just like this, and I put my rosemary oil in that bottle. And then I just took it and went like this. I just did that. Okay. I massaged it into my scalp, the rosemary oil. And then I took some rosemary oil, put it in my hand, and made sure that I got it on my ends, brushed it through a little bit. I didn't do a whole lot of pulling and manipulating, because I'm trying to leave it alone so it can do its thing and relax and chill. And I put on a cap, and then I put my hair dryer on. I have one of those. I have one of these little hair dryers. It's just a cap because I don't like those the the helmet hair dryer where you have to sit it up on a table and then pull the helmet down. I don't like those because it's like they burn me every time I use them. But this one, you pull the hose out, you open this door right here, and there's a cap that attaches to the hose. It's really hard to get out. This is the cap, right? So you take the hose and you attach the cap to it like so, lock it in place, and then you put the cap on, plug it up, and turn it on. That's all it is. When you're done, you push the hose back in, and then the hose locks down in place. And then you put the cap in and close the door, and it's ready to use the next time. So that's what I did the very first time that I used the Head and Shoulders and the spring water and my homemade conditioner. And my scalp felt so very good. There's the cord. Ouch. That's the cord inside of there. And then you just take the cap, roll it up, and push it back in and close the door. And this thing gets really hot also, so it's got low, medium, and high, and I always keep it on low, but still, it's still really hot. But it does what it needs to do. Okay, the door doesn't want to stay closed, but this is called Golden Hot, and Golden Hot makes curling irons too. So that's that. But like I said, my hair has been this length for, and it's actually just a little bit longer when it's flat ironed. Is it on? No, it's not on. I can turn this on. When it's flat ironed, it's a little bit longer. I have not cut my hair. I have not renewed my license, but I was a licensed cosmetologist. I attended the National Institute of Cosmetology in Washington, D.C. on Massachusetts Avenue, and Dr. Prince was my teacher. But anyway, it's a little bit longer, and I was trying to make the point. I was a licensed cosmetologist, hairstylist, but my license has expired a long time ago, and I've not since renewed it. But I know how to take care of my hair, and I know that cutting your hair is not going to make your hair grow. Cutting your hair will do some good things in terms of how your hair is going to be styled, how it maintains a style. It can help with volume, um, because the thing is that when you get a split end, it splits and you're left with a thinner strand. But if you catch that split end and cut the split end off at the neck, then you have the possibility of having a thicker strand of hair instead of all these thin strands of hair that have since split, and you know your hair doesn't have the volume that it used to have. My hair truly does not have the volume that it used to have. It does not. My hair is not as thick as it used to be, and like I said, it won't grow, and I don't really want to cut it. um, there's no real reason. Maybe I should cut it. I mean, if I took off like maybe if I took that off, that would be okay. I think I might cut it. I don't know. I have to think about it. I got to think about it. But I don't want to cut it because I want my length. I want my hair to grow. I want it to be longer, and I want it to grow the way that it's supposed to. So I don't know. I got to think about it. But I solved the itchy scalp kind of dilemma with the Head and Shoulders and the avocado and rosemary oil that I made on my own, and then my homemade conditioner, because I don't know about these things that they're putting in our shampoos and conditioners. I don't know if it's working against what I'm trying to do, which is to have a healthy scalp and to grow my hair longer than what it is. Let me look at the comment. Hold on one second. You look so beautiful, and I love your home decor. Oh my goodness, thank you. Let me tell you something. I appreciate your saying that. Uh-oh, my tripod is one of the feet just fell off my tripod. Hold on one second. Let me try to put it back. If I can't, I have to go get another tripod. But thank you. I appreciate that comment. But when it comes to home decor, listen, I'm not the one. Um, I appreciate your saying so. I appreciate you saying so. I really do. But my decorating skills are I don't know. I don't know. But thank you. I do appreciate it. I'm in the bathroom right now. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm in the bathroom. Um but anyway, um So yeah, that part about my hair. And let me just see. Let me just see if it's any longer if I flat iron it. Maybe if I take this piece here, right here, right here. And the other thing is I lost a lot of hair from the nape of my neck. I mean, I used to have a lot of hair on my neck, and it was long. And a lot of it has fallen out, but it's growing back now. Hold on, let me see. Okay. Okay, yeah, so it's a little bit longer. That's where my hair is, right there. Without pulling it or tilting my head like this and saying, see, look, it's long, it's long, it's long, it's long. No, no, my hair is about, it's right there. So it's not really here, it's down here. But you see, just flat ironing this part of my hair, it makes it a little bit longer. So it's not, I don't know. I don't know. My hair should be longer than this, though. It should be longer. But I'm grateful. I'm thankful for what I have. I am truly grateful and thankful for what I have because I know people are going through it with their hair. And I could say a whole lot of things about why are so many people at such young ages losing so much hair. And aside from the glue, the weaves, the very tightly tensioned hairstyles, um, I know those things are not conducive to growing long, strong, healthy hair. And some people will tell you, oh, the hairstylist, she braided my hair too tight, my hair fell out when they've been balding for a number of years. But, people have to tell themselves what they have to tell themselves, to get through their life. I'm not here to say what anybody should be saying or what they should be thinking. But anyway, I noticed that one of the supplements that I was inadvertently, for a while I was taking it intentionally, and then for a while I was inadvertently taking it because I didn't realize that it was in some of the other products that I was using. Um, and those products are vitamins. I had to take a deep breath just now because I'm exasperated with, again, there's so many reasons why so many of us are losing hair, and it's not just from glue, very tightly tensioned hairstyles, ball caps, scarves. It's from some other things, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, and we just do the best that we can to stay healthy, eat healthy, and you know meet these challenges the best way that we know how. Okay. But yeah, I um I feel like my hair is doing better. It doesn't itch like it used to. My scalp is calm and moisturized so it's not itchy, because I could put oil on my hair, in the morning, and then by 4 p.m. my skin, my scalp would be so dry and so itchy, no matter how much oil I had put on there that morning. So, and this is what I put in my hair. I use water, I spray my hair, smooth the water through, and then I use this. It's pretty good. It's pineapple and melon, I think, scented. It smells good, it feels good, and it does what I need it to do, which is to just kind of give me a little bit of a sheen and some wave to my hair. But yeah, I'm hanging in there. Some of you may or may not know I had been out of the country for the months of January and February. I was out of the country for 24 days, I think it was, maybe a little longer. I left the United States and went to Dubai for 7 days and then flew from Dubai to Thailand and stayed in Thailand for 10 days. And then I came back to Dubai and stayed for another 7 days. And then I came back home and I was home 2 weeks. Oh, did y'all want to see? This is not a weave. This is my hair. I'll let you root me. Here you go. There's my scalp. There's my scalp. Here's my scalp. Okay. My scalp. My scalp. And let me go down the middle. Okay, so there's no weave, there's no extensions, none of that. But anyway, so yeah, 7 days in Dubai, left Dubai and went to Thailand, went to Bangkok specifically, and stayed in Bangkok for 10 days. I was supposed to be going some other places too, because see, once you're in Southeast Asia, it's very cheap to fly to other Southeast Asian countries. I could have flown to Japan for like $70 or $100. I could have gone to Bali for $50. It's really inexpensive flying in between Southeast Asian countries. And I was supposed to go to, I don't want to say where I was supposed to go because I'm still going, but I don't want to tell you where I'm going until after I've been there. I hope you understand. So, um, okay, so I was in Dubai, went from the US to Dubai, stayed in Dubai for 7 days, went from Dubai to Thailand and stayed there for 10 days. I was in Bangkok. And then I came back from Bangkok, went back to Dubai, stayed there for 7 days. But one of those 7 days I spent in Abu Dhabi. I drove and my son was mad. Woo! He wasn't happy. He didn't want me driving around. He kept telling me, they drive crazy there. I'm like, you've never been here. What are you talking about? You don't know. You don't know. And it's just like, when you hear other people talk about other countries and what it's like and they've never been. And I'm like, what do you know? And this is what I'm telling my son. I'm like, what do you know? You've never been here before. My son is very well traveled. I mean, from Germany to Peru. Um, he's been to so many different countries in the last 5 years. But anyway, I'm like, what do you know? You have never been to Dubai. I said, they don't drive crazy here. It's very civil. You don't have people blowing their horns and cutting in front of people and cussing people out. You don't have that there. It's very, very calm, very civil, and actually on their highways, let me tell you something. When I drove to Abu Dhabi, I made I made a wrong turn somewhere and I ended up like off this. I took an off ramp and it took me off the highway. And I was in like this, it looked like an industrial park or something, but it was empty. I mean, there was nobody back there. And so I hurried up and I turned back around. I got back onto the main highway. And for a long stretch of that highway, I was the only person on a 10-lane highway. And that scared the mess out of me. I'm like, what if I need help and I'm out here on this 10-lane highway by myself? And I mean, the highway, it just looked deserted. I don't know. It was scary to me because I took that wrong turn, but hurried up and turned back around and got my bearings. But when I got my bearings and I was on the right road, I was on that road by myself for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, but it seemed like forever. And I was really scared. But I made it to Abu Dhabi from Dubai. I drove, I rented a car. I was actually supposed to be on a bus tour, but when I made the reservation for the bus tour, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I guess when they got in to check and see, well, who's riding with us today, they were like, oh, we got somebody else, but we don't have any more seats. So they sent me a text message and said, sorry, we don't have room for you. Can we reschedule you for another day? And I really wanted to go on that particular day. So I rented a car. And that was a little bit of a fiasco, but I did rent a car and it all worked out. Anything that happens when I take my trips, whether it's something good, but especially if it's something bad, I take it in stride. And I'm like, this is just a story I get to tell about what happened on the trip, how this didn't work out, but it still worked out because I still had a good time on my trip. I take everything in stride. I don't get mad about anything that happens. And I really haven't had any, really bad things happen. Um, so yeah, but anyway, um, so I drove to Abu Dhabi and went to the Grand Mosque there, and it was just, oh wow, it was absolutely beautiful. But when I told my son, when I sent him the video of me in the car driving that he told me I couldn't rent, I'm like, you know what, dude, you need to go have some kids, or I don't know, but if I want to rent a car, I'm gonna rent a car because that was my card, but he swears he's somebody's father. He needs some kids. He needs some kids, and I think they're on the way. But I was like, dude, yeah, I took that trip, and I was scared because, like I said, I was on that road by myself for about 5 minutes. Not a car in sight anywhere. Excuse me. Not a car in sight anywhere. And I was scared. And then I got to a point where I was seeing a few cars and everything. And then once I got to Abu Dhabi, of course, a lot of people were heading to the Grand Mosque. And so, plenty of cars around. And it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, these people's infrastructure is off the chisane. When they build a bridge, the bridge looks like, oh my gosh, our bridges, I noticed the difference between their bridges and our bridges. When you ride here, especially DC, Maryland, Virginia, when you ride under a bridge, you can see all the underpinnings of the bridge when you ride under the bridge. You can see the wood and the steel girders and all. When they build their bridges, it's all cement, and I'm sure it's shored up with steel girders and all this stuff, because it's the Middle East, and they've got to shore their stuff up because stuff be over there, right? Sometimes, not often, especially not in Dubai. So they have to shore up their stuff, and their bridges just look like, I don't know, it's just so regal and so beautiful and so pristine. Their bridges and their roadways are so clean. You can't find a piece of trash on the street anywhere. And then in the evenings, the guys come out with the Zambonis. And I don't know if Zamboni is the right word. I know Zamboni is used when they clean the ice in the ice skating rinks and the hockey rinks, but they have something that looks like Zambonis they use to clean the hockey rinks. And they come out and they clean the sidewalks because some of the sidewalks in Dubai are marble. They have laid in marble tiles, and then they've got designed stone and colored concrete, and it's just, this is what their streets look like. Now, I'm not saying it's like that everywhere, but you know what? In every major state in the United States, every state has a city where it's not as desirable as other parts of that state. Every place has that. No matter what country you're in, what state you're in, every state has that. Every country has the areas that are less desirable, you know. But their infrastructure is just pristine. Customer service over there is impeccable. Those people over there are so happy with the jobs that they have. You would never hear anybody at work over there drop the F bomb or curse or and the women come to work and oftentimes they have on skirts that come over their knee and pulled and slicked back and they look so professional. And I'm talking about this is at McDonald's and have on pantyhose and skirts as a uniform at McDonald's. No one, and listen, when people go shopping, when people go to, people are dressed, okay? They can be dressed to the nines, but at least they are dressed. And when I say they are dressed, nobody is wearing spandex, leggings, gym clothes, sports bras. Now you will see that, but 10 times out of 10, when you do see that, that's someone from the West who's come to that country and is disrespecting, how they tell you, things are in their country. And what do they say? When in Rome, you should do as the Romans do. But there are people that come from the West and they don't care how they look, and they want to come and bring their nasty, filthy, Western, trifling ways to someone else's country because they've got, when you go to stay at most of these not motels, but when you go to stay at most of these resorts and hotels and Airbnbs and villas, they've got a little book and it tells you a little something about where you're staying, what's nearby, where to go, where to eat, where to shop, yada, yada. And it will also tell you when you go out, you know, your shoulders should be covered, no cleavage should be showing, and your knees should be covered. This is for men and for women. And people still will come out of their villas, their hotels, dressed just like they would dress in the United States. And it's offensive. And it bothered me to no end. I'm like, look, this is a very conservative place. And you still want to do what you want to do just because that's what you do at home. And if that's what you want to do, honestly, I really think you should just stay home. I just think people, if you cannot be mindful, because here's the thing. When I come in the house, one of the first things I do is number one, I pull off my shoes, I pull off my bra, I go in the kitchen and I wash my hands. Those are the first three things that I do. Okay. Now, what if I came to your house and I kicked off my shoes, pulled off my bra, and went in your kitchen and washed my hands in your sink? You know, That's what I do in my home. But maybe that's not what you do in your home. It would be wrong of me to be so presumptuous and so rude and to just push in and do what I want to do in your house because that's what I do at home. That's not right. That's not appropriate. Decorum, etiquette, grace should be exhibited when we are out and about, especially in other people's countries, and when we are out and about and representing home. Because I can tell you there are some perceptions about some of us over there, and they're warranted because of the way some people decide to show up when they go there. We've heard the stories about women who go over there, the models that go over there. And I've seen some of their videos on YouTube, and they've gone over there with the cleavage out, skirts up to their burning bush, and they've been asked to come to an event, and sometimes they don't go back to where they came from. They put themselves in some dangerous situations and circumstances. Um, if that's what you choose to do when you go over there, what's the phrase? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. if you choose to engage in that type of activity, that was your choice. Don't be mad that you reaped those repercussions because you decided to engage in some untoward activity. And you know what I mean? So that's that's on them. That's on them. But as far as being safe over there, if you're conducting yourself in a safe manner, acting in a safe way, I'm telling you, it's got to be one of the safest places I've ever been in. When we went to Dubai back in September of 2025. I left my wallet in the Uber, and I realized it when I had to pay for something to be wrapped to be shipped back home. And I went to pull my wallet out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't find my wallet. And while I'm digging for my wallet, the Uber driver calls me and says, "Madam, where are you?" I said, "I'm right here at the door, just about." He says, "I have your wallet." He says, "I'm on my way back." I said, "Okay, I'll meet you at the door." And in about less than 5 minutes, he was back and he gave me my wallet. And I had like, I think I had like 300 dirham in my wallet, and I gave him the entire 300 dirham. That's not a lot of money. It sounds like a lot. I forget how much it is, but it was all I had, and it was well worth me giving it to him because everything was in there except for my passport. I had my passport around my neck. Um, but my driver's license was in there, my social security card was in there. Um, that 300 dirham was in there. So I just gave him what I had and I thanked him profusely. And I wrote a letter to Uber and told them how appreciative I was. So, it's very honest over there. And then one time we went to Jumeirah Beach and um, we had some bags and we didn't want to carry the bags. We rented a cabana and we didn't want to carry the bags all the way over to the cabana. And I was like, "Do you all have like lockers or somewhere where I can put my stuff?" And they're like, "Well, you just sit your stuff over there, behind the changing room." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want anybody to take my stuff." And the man looked at me and he was like, "Madam, please, this is Dubai." I was like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry." I mean, he said it like he was insulted, but I know he was kind of, joking too. But he was like, "Madam, this is Dubai." He said, "Man, we got cameras everywhere. Anybody who would steal in Dubai has got to have some type of mental health issue." He says, "We don't do that here." Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have heard so many stories like that. Um, But it's very safe. It's very safe. Even when I left 2 weeks before all that stuff jumped off. But even when you saw things on fire there, those were drones that were used to shoot down, they say missiles that were sent over from Iran. The United States did not bomb Dubai. Iran, it is said, it's alleged that Iran sent missiles to Dubai. And it may be because Iran is a little upset with Dubai being in bed with so many Western influences, because, Donald Trump has his uh, Trump Tower there, and I think he has a resort there as well. But a lot of Americans and very well-to-do Americans, a lot of Chinese, a lot of Russians, and a lot of the people from the UK who are very well off, they have a lot of money invested in Dubai. So everyone's like, "Look, hands off of Dubai. Because look, man, I got my investments over there. I got a whole apartment building over there. I got this. You better not go over there and bomb anything, you know. But rumors of wars, you remember that from the Bible? Okay. But I have to tell you, the technology, the level of wow, their technology over there is something else. And if you haven't been to Dubai, and I have to tell you, I was guilty of this too. I thought that Dubai was very third world. Even though I heard people talk about how nice it was, I thought it was very third world. And like I said, I ended up over there by, by chance because I was supposed to have been traveling to Thailand. And then I found out how expensive it was to continue my trip. And I said, well, I'll just stay in Doha. That was my first experience with the Middle East. I stayed in Doha, and that was in September of 2025. And then we went to Dubai in October of 2025. And then I went back to Dubai in January. But anyway, my first encounter with the Middle East, I was supposed to have been going someplace else. I never had any intention of going and staying there. But it was wow, it was peaceful. People mind their business. Nobody is harassing you or, trying to figure out what you got in your car. What are you doing? Why are you here? Who are you? None of that. Um, it was just peaceful. It was peaceful. Um, and people are very mellow and very quiet. And another thing that I was going to say about the way people dress, over there, when people go out, they put on clothes. They don't. The women don't come out. Even the women that don't wear um, the burqa or the I was going to say thobe, but the men wear the thobe. Um, what is it that the women wear? Some of the women don't wear the niqab, okay? Some of the women don't wear the abaya, the long robe that they wear out over their clothes. Some women don't wear that, and it's usually the younger women. But when the younger women don't wear the abaya, they are still dressed. And I mean dressed nice, conservative. They have on slacks. They have on a collared blouse. Um, and when they go shopping, these people roll deep. They roll deep. I'm talking about it's the mama and the daddy, the two babies, one he's carrying, the other one's in the stroller, and then there are the two mothers-in-laws, there's the two fathers-in-laws, and then there may be uh, three or four cousins, and then maybe three or four neighbors with their kids. I mean, they show up and they meet in this one spot. Oh, look, she got a new curl. Oh, he's got another tooth. Oh, she just lost a tooth, didn't she? Oh, your tummy is getting so big. Oh, your tummy's getting really flat. I mean, they meet up, and it's like it's a lot of them. And they will meet up at the mall and go to dinner together. They roll out deep, okay? These people roll out deep. So, and it's so nice to see these families come out. And it's nice because you know how you can go into the store and there's just these certain people, they gotta exhibit and speak so loudly about what it is they're doing. Okay, Johnny, why don't you get the cupcakes that you want to get? Come over here, Johnny. Johnny, yes, Johnny, we're gonna have pizza tonight, but I need you to come over here and wait with me. It's none of that over there. People are quiet and reserved and they talk amongst themselves. Nobody's minding anybody else's business. And as a matter of fact, the little booklet I was telling you about that they have that tells you, how you should dress when you go out in public, it even says in there it's illegal to eavesdrop on someone's conversation. Okay. I don't know what they do to you or how do they find out you're eavesdropping. Because if I'm eavesdropping, you don't know I'm listening. Okay, because I could be ear hustling like a mug, but you don't even know it because I'm acting like I'm not, you know. But uh, they they're just they're quiet, they're reserved, peaceful people. They mind their business, they do their thing, they live their lives, they do what they're supposed to do, and it's also when I see so many men running with a prayer cloth under their arm you know, and they pray. What is it? 6 times a day. I think it's 6 times a day they pray. And I mean, they run to prayer. And there's certain corners, certain streets where you go, and if there's not a mosque nearby, there's a street corner or there's an alleyway, where everyone gathers. Okay, at this particular time, if you're here, you can go down to that corner there. They're praying there at this time. It's really something to see these people run to pray. What would that be like? Here in the United States, at a certain time, 6 times a day, men and women run to a particular spot or they're walking casually and they go and they pray 6 times a day at the mosque out in the open. What's that? What would that be like here? I mean, I see people. Every now and then I'll see some Muslim people, and it's Muslim. It's not Muslim. When you call Muslim people Muslim, you're really insulting them. And I think the people that ah, I think the people that call people Muslim, I think they know what they're doing. They know they're saying that and that it's rude and it's condescending. But anyway, it's not Muslim, it's Muslim. Okay. Anyway, anyway. But yeah, just to, you know, know that God is loved so much by them. Uh it's nice. It's very nice. Would I consider becoming Muslim because someone tried to get me to convert? And I'm like, you know what? I have a really, really great relationship with Yahweh. And I love your book. Um, I know a little, I know about that much about the Quran, about that much, okay? And even that, I don't really understand. Well, I don't want to say I don't understand, but anyway, um, I have a really great relationship with Yahweh, and I meet with Him every day for an hour up to 2 hours. And I walk and I talk, I run and I talk, and I work it all out. And this is my day. This is how I start my day every day, giving thanks and talking to Yahweh about all the things that are in my heart or my mind. And I'm happy with that. And I think Yahweh and I have a really good relationship that way. And I don't think that I need to go into a building. And I know people say, you have to fellowship. The Bible says you have to fellowship, and the Bible says, where two people are gathered, there I am. Well, when it's just me, He's here too. Okay. So I'm happy with the relationship that I have, and I don't have to convert to Islam. I don't have to, remain Baptist, Catholic. I don't have to do that. I've got my own hookup. I've got my own connection betwixt me and him. And there are days when that thing, and I don't even want to give that thing down there any credit. I hate giving him credit for anything, not even the bad stuff, because I don't want that thing down there, that demon, Mustapheles, to think that he has anything to do with anything that happens to me in this life. If I trip and fall, it's because you know, Yahweh's trying to get my attention and he wants me to know something. He wants to get my attention on something. I don't want to believe that the devil made me fall. If my car runs out of gas, no, the devil didn't make my car run out of gas. I knew I was on a quarter of a tank 2 days ago and I should have gone to the gas station, but my husband fills my car up. I don't go to the gas station. He does. But anyway, I don't blame him for much that happens in my life, even when it's bad, because I would rather blame myself than to blame the devil. Because, like I said, I can't let him have not even that much real estate in my mind, my body, my spirit. I can't let him have that much real estate. And I don't want to believe that he's responsible for anything, even something bad happening. I don't want to believe that he had anything to do with it. That's just my mindset. I'm not saying anybody else has to believe that, but that's what I believe. So I think Yahweh and I have a good relationship, and sometimes that demon tries to get me to not pray. Because sometimes, I'll wake up in the morning, and this doesn't happen very often, but every now and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, I don't feel good. Or, I'm too mad, I'm too sad, I'm too broken, I'm too hurt today. I don't want to pray. Well, and that demon's trying to tell me, well, you prayed all them other days. You don't need to pray anymore. You can skip today. No, I can't. No, the heck I can't. Yahweh has done too much. He has given so much. There's no way. If all I can do is, that's what I'm going to do. But each and every day, I have to give him glory, honor, thanks, and praise, because all glory, honor, thanks, and praise belongs to Yahweh and Yahweh alone. Okay? He has done so much. He has provided each and every one of my needs, just as he promised. You know what? Part of my prayer, I say to Yahweh, what is it that I say? Yahweh, I recognize you as my first and my last, my beginning and my end, my Alpha and my Omega, my author and my finisher. No other help do I need, want, or know, because your love, your grace, your mercy, your peace, your will, your word, your way, every lesson and blessing, great and small, every promise, Yahweh, every bit of forgiveness and mercy, Yahweh, all of your abundance, Yahweh, is, was, has been, and forevermore shall be more than sufficient. And I thank you for it all. That's a part of my prayer every day. Because if at the age of 63, that's how old I am now, if at the age of 63, I don't realize and know that Yahweh has done everything he said he would do, he's already done what he said he would do. I call. He heard and he gave me peace of mind. He's my shepherd. He's my guide. He goes with me all the time. I don't worry. I don't fret, because Yahweh's never failed me yet. He's already done what he said he would do. If you don't know, if you don't believe that Yahweh has already done what he said he would do, I feel sorry for you. Yahweh said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Yahweh said, he will prepare a table before me in front of my enemies. Yahweh said he would never leave nor forsake me. Yahweh said that one day the first are going to be last. Let me say this. Let me address the first are going to be last. This isn't even what I wanted to talk about, but you know what? I'm talking about it, so I guess it was meant for me to talk about it. The first are going to be last. If you don't realize that the first, the elite, the rich, the ones that got the cars, the clothes, the monies, the houses, the cars, the vacations, the jewelries, the bags, the this, the that, all the things. If you don't realize that these people are last, I don't know what to tell you. These people have all the things, and yet they are still unhappy and miserable, sad and alone. They don't get along with people, and people don't get along with them. And the reason why they've acquired and they have so much junk stuff, things that they've purchased and bought, is because they are without what's really important. And that's love, and the love of your family and those that you engage with each and every day. They don't have the respect, they don't have the love or the connection with these people. And this is what really matters in the grand scheme of things. This is what really matters. The people around you that you consider your family, your friends, your closest comrades, you know. Um and you got all this other stuff, and people are like, they're marveling at you because you got this expensive car, and you got all these clothes, you got all these shoes, you got all these paintings and pictures, and you've got all this stuff. It's just stuff. And when you're sitting alone in your house by yourself with all of this stuff that you acquired, that you bought and purchased, how do you feel now? Because after a while, that stuff is just strewn all about the house. It doesn't even mean what it meant to you when you saw it on the hanger. It doesn't mean what it meant to you when you saw it in the store. It doesn't mean what it meant to you when you decorated and sat down in it for the first time after pulling all these things together and curating all these things for the home. It means nothing because those people are sitting there alone and by themselves and lonely. Yahweh said the first are going to be last. They're already last. If you don't know it, maybe you need to sit and think about it. I've heard people say people who look at me and wonder how we keep getting up when we just keep getting, you know, we still get up. We still have a reason to smile. We still have a reason to have a picnic, a gathering. We still have a reason to be happy. And people look at us and say, well, damn, we done beat them up. We done took this away. We don't give them that. We don't give them this. We don't give them, what everybody else got. But still, they rise. Because I think some of us really know what's important in this life. What what um what this life was really supposed to be about. Yahweh, family, and your homestead, in that order. Yahweh, family, and your homestead. It's not about how much stuff you can buy and how many things you can acquire. It means nothing if you don't have the people around you that support and love you. Those things don't mean anything if you don't have those people in your life. You know? But anyway, I'm not sure why I went that way, but I did. Maybe someone needed to hear that. I'm not sure. Oh, there's a comment. Let me see. I can't see. Hold on. I got a light shining right in my eyes, so I can't really see the screen. Hold on if I can. Hi, Miss Kia. How are you? Long time no see. Junkanu, Junkanu. I always like it when Miss Kia posts her Junkanu videos. Okay, there we go. So, but yeah, um, um, I have been going through some things with my health, and it's kind of a long and convoluted story. And I think I've kind of gotten it figured out. Um, how did it start? It started with um, these muscle cramps that I would get. And I noticed that I would get the muscle cramps after eating like sweet potatoes or bananas or mangoes. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat table sugar. I don't eat sugar substitutes. I don't eat high fructose corn syrup. None of those sweeteners. I don't eat any of those. The only sugar that I get is from the sweet potatoes that I eat, the bananas, the mangoes, the blueberries. I can't do strawberries anymore. But that's the only sugar that I get. And sometimes I can overdo it with the bananas and the mangoes because sometimes, I don't want to say sometimes because I'd be lying. Every day I either eat 3 bananas and 1 mango and maybe 15 blueberries in one sitting. And I will do this every day. Or if I don't do the blueberries and the fruit, then I will, and the other fruit, I will do maybe 3 sweet potatoes in one day. And I like sweet potatoes and cream. I like bananas, blueberries, and cream. And so, um, eating this fruit every day in that quantity is going to cause me, I'm not saying it's going to cause anybody else a problem, it causes me a problem. I don't think I'm supposed to be eating that much fruit every day. It's going to be problematic. So I noticed every time I would eat, this fruit like this, some things would happen. Number one, it was too much sugar. And when it first started happening, I knew it was too much sugar because the next morning I would wake up with a hangover, like I had been drinking. And that's how I knew, okay, you need to stop eating 3 sweet potatoes. Can you do one sweet potato like that big for the day instead of one big orange sweet potato and then 2 small Korean sweet potatoes? Can you not do that? And I tried, and it's like I can't stop. So, but anyway, I would wake up the next morning with like a hangover, a headache, and just groggy and achy and everything. And so the next thing that would happen was I'd get really, really thirsty, and I'd drink a lot of water. And I started drinking those flavored waters, Waterloo, bubbly, and I would drink about 7 or 8 cans in one day. So I'm eating this sugar, and just like salt, salt chases water. Sugar chases water just as well as salt chases water, right? So I would wake up the next day with like this hangover feeling. I'd be really super thirsty. I'd be drinking all this water. And then the next thing you know, um, I'm dehydrated. I'm dehydrated. And you're saying, well, how could you be dehydrated if you had 7 or 8 cans of water and each can was 12 ounces? How could you possibly be dehydrated? This is where people get mixed up with dehydration. When people say you need to hydrate, 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 drink all this water, okay? Um, First of all, drinking water will dehydrate you. When you drink a lot of water and then you pee out a lot, you're getting rid of your electrolytes. Your electrolytes are sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, and calcium. Those are the 5 main electrolytes. And if you're drinking all that water and you're doing all this urinating, you're urinating your electrolytes out. And those electrolytes are what keep your heart beating, keep you breathing when you're asleep at night. This is why we don't have to think about breathing. It happens naturally through our central nervous system that remembers to tell us or tells our lungs we need to breathe in and out every so often. Okay. Our heart beats and we don't have to think about making it beat. But when you don't have the proper amount of electrolytes, sometimes you'll get these little flutters of your heart or your heart will skip a beat. That's letting you know you're dehydrated. You don't have enough electrolytes. You peed a lot of them out. Okay. One of the electrolytes that I mentioned was magnesium. So I'm thinking, wow, okay, well, I'm getting these cramps because I've dehydrated myself and I don't have enough magnesium. And then I started buying this stuff. It's a foam. It's a magnesium foam. You put 2 pumps of foam in your hand and you rub the foam wherever you have the cramp. And I'm telling you, these muscle cramps that I was having in the back of my thigh, in my calf, in my groin. Oh my God, the ones that I would have in my groin would have me bent over like a pretzel, and I would not be able to straighten up. I couldn't stand up, and all I could do is scream. I didn't scream like that when I was in labor. When I was in labor, I wanted to scream, but I could not scream. When I get these leg cramps, especially in the back of my thigh and in my groin, I have never in my life screamed so loud or so hard, and it's so bad. And this cramp, there's nothing I can do. I can't like move or reposition or stretch or flex or point or turn. There's nothing I can do to get rid of these cramps. And these cramps will last for about 3 to 4 minutes. And it's a rolling kind of a cramp. It'll come. I'm in the bed, I'm asleep. And all of a sudden it'll wake me up and I'll feel it shoot through my leg and I'll jump up because I know if I don't get up out the bed in time enough, I won't be able to move. I won't be able to stand up and I'll be stuck laying in the bed with this cramp and I won't be able to do anything. So I want to be on my feet. So it'll wake me up out of my sleep. I'll jump up out the bed and I'm standing on the side of the bed and it comes in waves and it'll come and it'll crescendo and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs and then it'll go away. And then it'll come back and then it'll go up and crescendo and then it comes back down. And then it goes back. It comes in a three. Okay. And I just have to ride the wave. Um, and in between the waves, I try to straighten up a little bit, but when it comes back and it crescendos, it's like it just snatches me back down and I'm bent over like a pretzel and there's nothing I can do. And everyone comes running. My husband's got Gatorade, my daughter's got water, somebody else got a hot water bottle. Everyone's someone's trying to massage my thigh, and and I'm like, look, just please, I appreciate what everyone's trying to do, but when I catch these cramps, I don't want anybody to touch me. I don't because they're not sure what's really what to do, and it's just possible that what they're doing is just making it worse. So I just have to ride it out, but I'm glad that they do come running because I don't like to go through this by myself because it's scary and it's painful. So I started buying this magnesium foam and two pumps and you rub it on the area and in about 15, 20, 30 seconds, it works and the cramp goes away. So I thought, well, you know how we do. Well, if it works like that, I know I'm going to get a cramp if I eat the sweet potatoes and if I eat too much. Why don't I just go ahead and put the magnesium on my thigh, on the back of my calf, on my groin, and that way I won't get the cramp, right? No. And then I started buying magnesium salt baths. The ones that smell like lavender or ginger and coconut, whatever. And instead of putting in, as directed, a handful of magnesium, a cup, into your bath water, I put in a half a bag. Then I developed a rash on the back of my thigh, and the back of my thigh turned black from this rash. And I'm like, what is, and I mean, it was itchy too. Like, what is this rash? It was dry and just hard. It wasn't like the eczema kind of rash where it oozes and you get these little bumps and then the bump pops and it breaks and the skin breaks open. There was no breaks in the skin. It was just a hard, dry, black rash. Okay. And I'm like, what is this? What is this coming from? And it took me a long time to figure out that it was the magnesium, the excess of magnesium that I was using from the magnesium bath to the magnesium foam. And then I was also taking I tried to take a magnesium supplement. It was a gummy and it was about that big. And I was a little nervous about taking it. So I bit off just a little teeny tiny piece, and all I know is I felt really bad after I took it. And I was like, never mind, I'm not taking it. I threw it in the trash. So I finally figured out after about 2 months. And what happened was I ended up in the ER because I wasn't feeling well and I took my blood pressure and it was really high. And by the time I got to the ER, my blood pressure was 210 over 140. They were asking me, are you having any chest pains? No. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you are? Do you know who's, because they're thinking I'm having either an episode here or I'm having an episode here because my blood pressure is so high. I'm like, no, I'm not having none of that. I'm okay. I can say Huckleberry Finn. I can say Huckleberry Blueberry, Huckleberry, because that's what they ask you to say if they think you're having, something going on. I said, no, I don't have any of those symptoms. Are you short of? I said, I am short of breath. I am short of breath, and my blood pressure was very high. So they gave me a pill, and that pill just kind of made me in about 10, 15 minutes. And they sent me home. Okay. Anyway, by this time I figure out it's the magnesium because magnesium relaxes your muscles. Okay. It's supposed to help you to relax and it relaxes your muscles. But guess what? Your heart is a muscle. And if I'm taking in all this magnesium from the magnesium vitamins, because I got a multivitamin instead of taking just the one magnesium by itself, I got a multivitamin that had a low dose of magnesium, and I was taking that every day. So, on top of the magnesium supplement, the magnesium bath, and then the magnesium foam, but I stopped using the foam and was just doing the bath and the supplement. But magnesium still sits in your body for a while. It takes a while for it to disseminate out of your body, right? So I stopped the foam, but I was using the magnesium bath and the magnesium supplement in a low dose. It was like 45 milligrams. It wasn't like 300, 400 milligrams. I even looked at that and I said, that's just too much. I can't do that much. I don't need that much. And I'm glad I didn't. But just like it relaxes your muscles, your heart is a muscle. And if you're taking magnesium and it relaxes your muscles, it's going to relax your heart muscle. And that's just how I felt like my heart wanted to beat and it couldn't beat the way it was supposed to. It felt like something was suppressing my heartbeats. That's exactly how it felt. And so I went home and suffered for about a day or so. And I said, you know what? It's the magnesium. And so I stopped taking the magnesium. My blood pressure came back down to where it was supposed to be 116 over 70, 112 over 70, where it's supposed to be, right? So I figured that out. And I'm like, cool, I'm good. So I won't do any more of the supplement. I won't do any more magnesium baths, and I definitely won't be using the magnesium foam. But still, I'm getting these cramps. And I'm getting the cramps because, again, I'm eating too many sweet potatoes in one sitting. Again, could you, instead of three, can you do just one sweet potato instead of three? But I feel kind of depraved. I feel like, well, I can't have any cake, cookies. I can make my own ice cream. So I don't want to say I can't have ice cream. I can if I make my own. But I don't get the cakes, the cookies, the crackers, the pasta, the pies, all those things that turn into sugar or are sugar. I don't get to eat that. So can I just have my sweet potato? It's from the earth. It's healthy. It's natural, but in proper amounts. So I'm still dehydrating myself, eating too many bananas. Do you have to have 3 bananas every day? Do you have to eat a whole? Could you just do a half of a mango and maybe 1.5 bananas instead of 3 bananas every day? I mean, and my answer was pretty much no. I don't get anything else. I should be able to eat 3 bananas and not have this problem. This is just I'm just telling you how I'm thinking, right? So anyway, I'm still having these muscle cramps. But I've resolved myself not to use any more of the phone, not to take any more magnesium baths, and not to use any more magnesium supplements. But I'm like, I need something to help me with these cramps. But magnesium was not the problem. But I felt like it still was. So what did I do? I went out and bought an electrolyte powder. And it has, according to the ingredients, it has 1,000, I'm pretty sure it's milligrams, 1,000 milligrams of salt. That's a lot of salt. I don't think I eat that much salt in one day. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It had 1,000 milligrams of salt, excuse me, 500 milligrams of potassium, and 500 milligrams of magnesium. I think that's a lot, especially if you were to do your blood work, if you were to get your lab work taken. And there's nothing on your lab work that says, and this is what happened to me, there was nothing on my lab work that said that my magnesium was low, that my potassium was low, or that my sodium was low. So for me to be taking in a supplement like that, an electrolyte supplement like that, I was taking in more of what I needed. I didn't need sodium. I didn't need magnesium. I didn't need um, potassium, because when I got my lab work done, all of my lab work said that my magnesium, sodium, and potassium were in the normal range. So for me to be drinking that electrolyte drink, I'm taking in more than what I need. And if you don't know this, let me tell you, let me hip you, let me school you. Having a deficiency like a vitamin D deficiency or B12 deficiency is just as bad, just as dangerous as having too much. Having too much calcium can be dangerous. Having too much magnesium can be dangerous. Having too much B12 can be dangerous or even considered toxic. Okay? Um, and I want to tell you this other part. Having too much of these nutrients will have you to have the same symptoms you had when you didn't have enough. Okay, so let's just say you are iron deficient and you're all the time cold, um, you're short of breath, and your blood pressure is high. Okay, those can be the symptoms of being anemic when you don't have enough iron in your blood. Those same symptoms, you will have those same exact symptoms if you have too much iron in your blood. So the same symptoms you had when you didn't have enough, you're going to have the same symptoms when you have too much. And it's kind of that way with a lot of the vitamins. I don't know if it's that way with all of the vitamins, but it's that way with a lot of the vitamins. If you don't have enough, you're going to feel bad, and these are going to be your symptoms, and you're going to have those same symptoms if you have too much. I had to learn it all the hard way. I'm telling you what I know, I'm telling you what I've been through. So when I started drinking this electrolyte water with 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 500 of potassium, 500 of magnesium, I started having, side effects of being dehydrated. When I wasn't really dehydrated, when it really wasn't that I needed magnesium, what I found out I needed was to stop the electrolyte. I didn't need that extra magnesium. It was causing me a problem. I didn't need that extra potassium. It was causing me a problem. I didn't need that extra sodium. It might have been causing me a problem. And a lot of people will take a vitamin just because somebody said, girl, you need to take this biotin vitamin because, girl, it's going to make your hair grow long. You only take what you need. If your body doesn't require it, if it's not medically necessary or medically indicative that you need that, you should not be taking that nutrient. It's going to cause you a problem. Don't take it because someone says, oh, well, it made my hair grow, girl. It made my nails grow. It helped me with this. Okay, well, that might have been medically necessary for you. It might have been indicated in some lab work that you needed that, but your sister over here don't need it like that. And you might be causing her a problem telling her to take it, or you might be causing yourself a problem listening to someone else tell you to take something you don't know you even need. Listen, just like I told you, it's my feeling that magnesium, as we're told, relaxes your muscles, relaxes you. If it relaxes your muscles and your heart is a muscle, I don't want my heart muscle to relax. I want it to beat and function the way it's supposed to. But if that magnesium is suppressing and relaxing my muscles, it's going to also relax my heart muscle. Okay? That's just how I see it. I don't think that I'm wrong. Okay? Not only I want to hit you with something else. Not only I think, this is just my own thinking. This is my own little squirrel running around up here. Okay, I'm thinking again. Uh-oh, watch out. She's thinking. But I'm thinking again, right? If magnesium relaxes your muscles, what else will it relax? Because for a long time, I had a three-piece. What do you mean, Sassy? What do you mean you had a three-piece? I had a three-piece. A one, a two, and a three. Three pieces was hanging. It was hanging and it was ugly. It was not cute. And I'm like, no, why? I'm only 63 years old. Why does my neck look like a vagina? No. I'm not paying for a facelift. Not now. I'm too young. I'm not doing it. And I kind of thought to myself, well, if magnesium relaxes the heart muscle, is it possible for it to relax the skin? Is it possible that the magnesium will work against the collagen and relax the skin? So when I stopped the magnesium, look, Sheila tightened up. Because I used to have to beat Sheila every morning. I used to do this. I used to beat her. After I put on my moisturizer, and then I wasn't really moisturizing her, knowing that I was going through menopause and everything was getting all dry. Okay, thank goodness, not everything, but everything was getting all dry. I said, it's a possibility that the magnesium is causing my skin to become lax. And I got this three-piece down here that I don't want. And the best way for me to get rid of that three-piece, I don't have to beat her no more. I get up in the morning, I greet Yahweh at the window, come in here, take care of myself in the restroom. I come out, wash my hands, wash my teeth, wash my face, and then I brush my hair. And I put on my moisturizer on my face, neck, and décolleté. And then I would beat Sheila. And I'm like, I don't like to beat her because it don't feel good to me. I don't want to beat her. So I just learned to leave the magnesium alone. I don't need it. Potassium, the sodium, I don't need all of that. Leave it alone. And what we're going to do is get more sun and more vitamin D. So I started getting more sun. That's why I'm a little darker. Um, and even though I'm not always sitting outside getting sun, I'll sit in the window in the solarium and get my sun, and I still tan. Trust me, I do. Look at me. But anyway, I stopped beating Sheila, and I just learned to leave the magnesium alone. Number one, if you're taking anything with magnesium in it, and it's not medically indicated that you need it, leave that magnesium alone. Because I know, there's always these fads that come in. Oh, everyone's doing magnesium now. Somebody's making magnesium butter, and you know what? Someone's gonna get hurt because people don't understand. If it's relaxing your muscles, your heart is a muscle, and your heart's not going to beat properly. You're going to end up in the ER with your blood pressure possibly really, really high, and you're wondering why your blood pressure is so high, because your heart rate is being suppressed. Your heart is a muscle, and that magnesium is suppressing that heart muscle just like it's suppressing and relaxing all the other muscles. That's just my little squirrel telling me this. I don't know nothing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not learned in the medical field. I'm just putting one and one together. That's all I'm trying to do, and I think the answer is two. I think. Um, but yeah, I stopped beating Sheila, and I learned to just smile. And there's no filter on. Come close. I- The only thing I have on is makeup. There's no filter on me at all. Come close. Look at Sheila. And when I smile, Sheila gets tight. Okay, Sheila tightens up her game. That's all I have to do is smile. You know, sometimes. Oh shoot! It broke again. Sometimes we can cause our own problems, because we're looking at social media and the brows frown because we can't see that well, and we don't want to run upstairs to get the glasses. Oh, oh. gotta get another. No, let me put this leg. Let me put the leg back on here. But we don't want to run upstairs and get the glasses. Let me turn you around for a second. You can see my messy dressing table. I know. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, but you don't want to run upstairs and get the glasses. You stay there. Anyway, you don't want to run upstairs and get the glasses, so you kind of frown a bit, and the battery's about to go. I need to get off of here. Anyway, but you don't want to run upstairs and get your glasses. I keep saying that, don't I? And sometimes when we're really concentrating, the mouth kind of goes down. The lines. I don't do that, but I see other people who do this. Like they're concentrating on something and they're working on something and they're like, they're working on something. And you remember what your mom used to say, if you keep making that face, it's gonna stay that way. This one is kind of short, but it should work. And your mom tells you, if you keep making that face, it's gonna stay that way. And it's true. When you purse your lips, okay? When you frown up like that because you're trying to read something you can't see, those lines will stay. So I just learned to smile. Hold on, let me see. What is that? Ooh. Harper! Hey! Oh my gosh! Oh, Harper, how are you? Hello! Hey, Harper! Oh my goodness, I miss you. Oh, Harper, I hope you're well. I hope everything's okay. Oh my goodness. It's good to see you, Harper. It really is. Thank you for stopping in. Hold on, let me put this other tripod up. This is a small one. Oh, that's so low. All right. I gotta pour my. Oh, I was using this. I gotta use my ice bucket as a stand. I had my Saratoga water in the ice bucket because once it goes warm, I don't like to drink it. All right, pour the water and the ice out. And then put the ice bucket here. Is that gonna be high up enough? I'm sorry, y'all. Let me get this thing situated because it's still a little too low. If we put the light here and the ice bucket and the tripod there. There we go. That's better. That's better. That's perfect. All right. It's dark in here. Let me turn the lights on. Do I want the lights on? No. I gotta clean my bathroom. Anyway, so that's the story about the magnesium. And as I said, as we age, as we get older, I know things start to slip, slide, and fall. I was watching a video the other day, and it was 2016, and I was looking at my butt, and I was like, "Wow, look at my booty." And then I looked in the mirror the other day, and I'm like, "Where's my booty?" I mean, it's wide, but it ain't. And listen, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about the BBLs and the women that get them, and how you're supposed to. They were joking and saying that thing is only for at nighttime. That's not something you wear out in the daytime. And I'm like, well, once you get it, I mean, you got to wear it 24/7. You can't. pull it off and sit it on the bed until nighttime roll around and then put it back on. But anyway, I'm just so thankful that I didn't have any of those surgeries because I often wonder, these younger girls who get these surgeries, what is their body going to look like when they're 50? What is it going to look like, especially with the BBL? Because those things look hard and they look heavy. It looks, and sometimes, I can tell a natural booty when I see one, okay? Because it'll bounce. And oftentimes, these women, especially the ones that are getting injections, that stuff gets hard after a while and it don't bounce, it don't move, you know. Um, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just often wonder what is it gonna look like? Is it gonna And there was a woman, her behind was basically on the back of her thighs. I mean, her butt just dropped. And I'm like, then you gotta go get it taken out and put back in, and then you've got the ones that the booty don't match the thighs. There's a certain waist to hip to leg and thigh ratio, and the ratios aren't matching up because some of them look like the letter P. You've got stick legs and then you got this P. It doesn't look good. But I'm grateful that, I even with all the weight that I had on me when I was 250 pounds. What was I, 267? Yeah, I was 267 pounds. And no, 265, excuse me. I was 265. And even then, I felt content at that size. But when I go back and I look at pictures of me at 265 pounds, I'm like, I didn't realize how big I was. I'm like, that was a lot to be carrying around. And I did it to myself. You cannot eat a quart of not a quart, but a half a gallon, excuse me. You can't eat a half a gallon of Edie's pralines and ice cream every day and drink soda all day. That was my diet. My diet was a half a gallon of ice cream and maybe 6 or 7 sodas. Safeway grapefruit sodas every day. A half a gallon of ice cream and and I'm thinking, well, it's just liquid. I'm just gonna pee it all out. Dumb. I didn't know. I was ignorant. I didn't know. So I would have 6 or 7 sodas every day, a half a gallon of Edie's ice cream every day. I would eat half of it in the morning and then the other half in the evening. And if I did eat anything else, it was 4 or 5 donuts from Dunkin' Donuts and fast food. There was a time when I did not cook. I did not cook. We would either have McDonald's, Wendy's, Boston Chicken, or Boston Market, um, Wendy's, McDonald's, Boston Market, Domino's, or Pizza Hut. I wasn't cooking at all at one point. And this is when my kids were young, like when they were teenagers and coming up. I wasn't cooking anything. I cook every day. I cook a full meal every day. Every day. I may miss a day because maybe I made so much the day before that I have enough for some leftovers the next day. But if I don't make it, I don't eat it. It's very rare that I even eat out because I just don't. I see too much behind the scenes, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot eat from your kitchen. I saw what your worker did. Your worker was just sweeping the floor and scooping up trash off the floor, and then he went to go put his hands on the. No, 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 no. So, I had a really bad diet and I was 265 pounds then, but I never felt like, I don't know. I did get to the point when I was at 265. What I'm gonna tell you what broke me. 265 pounds. I went into the bathroom and I went to reach around and I couldn't reach. I had to lean up against the wall and push my shoulder in so that I could reach to take care of what I need to take care of. And I was like, oh no. I know I'm not that big that I can't take care of myself in the restroom. Ain't nobody coming in here to do that for me. So that's what broke me. That was one thing that broke me. And then one day I just felt like I really felt like my arms were like out here, and they weren't, but that's how I felt. I felt like my arms was out like this, and I felt like I was just at 265 pounds. Now, I was big, but I don't think I was morbidly obese, but I was obese. They still say I'm obese at 177 pounds. Um, but yeah, those were the two things that broke the camel's back that made me want to do something, and that's when I became vegan, and I went from 265 down to 197, and then ended up at 224 for a long time. And then I left the vegan diet alone, and I started doing kind of sort of keto. Some of that keto stuff I can't do, like eating all that bacon, eating all them eggs. I can't, because it doesn't make sense to me to eat pork like that. I don't think I need pork. I know I need fat, and I use fat to keep my weight where it is so I don't gain weight. Although I do gain, because sometimes I'm 177, sometimes I'm 181. So I fluctuate between 181 and 177. So I use fat, but I use the fat from like steak, chicken, that type of fat, fatty fishes, to keep my weight down. But a lot of the keto stuff, like I said, it doesn't make sense to me, and it kind of scares me. So I don't follow everything on the keto diet, but a lot of it I follow, like no wheat products. Let me take that back. No grains. And wheat is grains, oatmeal is grains, rice is grains. I said wheat already. All the grains I don't mess with. No rices, no pastas, no crackers, no cookies, cakes, pies, nothing made with a dough. Now I will make some macaroni and cheese like once every 3 months. I'll make some gnocchi. We've had gnocchi like 3 times within the last month. And that's a lot for us because we just don't eat like that anymore. But no white potatoes except for the sweet potatoes. And I know I shouldn't be eating those. So, but anyway, I do my best to do just the orange sweet potatoes. But anyway, no white potatoes, no rice, pastas, anything made from a grain, oatmeals, cream of wheat. We do grits. Once maybe every 3 months we'll do grits. Um, but it's mostly just meat and green leafy vegetables or cruciferous vegetables. But that's just the way we eat now. And then on Saturdays, today's Saturday, the Sabbath, my husband and daughter go and they get their whatever they want to eat on Saturday. And they might have some leftovers and they eat those on Sunday. And that's cool because then I don't have to cook for 2 days. I get to really rest on the Sabbath. So, and my husband has lost over 100 pounds. He's lost over 100 pounds. And it took him to decide that he wanted to listen to me, that he would start taking his lunch and stop eating that crap in the cafeteria. Um, and to not, consume those things because a lot of it's cooked in vegetable oil, which is not good for us. I can't even eat vegetable oil. As soon as when it touches my lips, I'm itching, I'm scratching, I'm digging, because every now and then I try to sneak those Five Guys fries, and I start itching. I'll get a cramp, so I can't even do that anymore. Every now and then, but I'll try it. I'll try and then pay for it. But I never have seen anybody lose 100 pounds on their own. When I say on their own, without weight loss surgery, without uh, the GLP injections or pills or whatever people are taking now. My husband has lost all this, thanks be to the kitchen. my kitchen, and his willpower also to not to refrain from those foods that I told him you just can't eat those things anymore. We can come up with a whole lot of other stuff. We don't even eat bread anymore. There has not been a loaf of bread in this house since 2021. Not a loaf of bread. Now I've made some biscuits. Since 2021, I have probably made biscuits 7 times since 2021. And I love my biscuits. I loved my honey butter dinner rolls. I haven't made any honey butter dinner rolls since 2020. Okay. And I just told my husband and daughter we can find other ways to enjoy our meals and our foods. And our big bread product is, and I think we might have to give it up because they were talking about some questionable ingredients. But the siete, like the number 7 in Spanish, the siete um, almond flour tortillas, that's our only source of bread. Our only source of bread. And we use those to make pizza. We use those to make tacos. I've used them to make spanakopita. It doesn't really work out that well, but it's like a spanakopita taco. They don't the almond tortillas won't seal up like a piece of wonton skin would seal. They just don't. You can put egg on it, you can put water on it. They just don't seal. They don't. But they've taken the place of bread for us. And I used to do a lot of bread, but you have to remember, to get that dough to rise, you've got to have something that's going to make that dough rise. And just like that dough rises, your belly is going to rise as well. So if you're eating products that have yeast, baking powder, and you know what yeast does. Yeast makes the dough rise. It makes your belly rise. That baking soda makes that cake rise. It's going to make your belly rise too. Um, yeah, and it's going to cause inflammation, things to flare up in the body. You might start retaining some water, some fluid. Your ankles might swell and your legs may swell, your hands may swell, and your rings may get tight when we eat these things that cause inflammation. But you hear a lot of people talking about inflammation. Oh, my body's inflamed right now. No, you're just fat. You're just fat. And I can say that because I'm still fat. I'm 177 pounds. I'm still fat. I'm not what I used to weigh, but I am still fat. Still fat at 177 pounds, and I'm 5'7". But I'm not 265 pounds anymore. Thanks be to Yahweh. I'm grateful for the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, the healing, the weight loss. I'm grateful for it all. Yahweh knows I am. So, what else can I tell you? I think the biggest thing I wanted to talk to you all about was it broke. The biggest thing I wanted to talk to you all about was the magnesium, and just be careful. If you start having any weird symptoms, you feel like your chest is tightening up, your blood pressure is elevated, you might want to slow your roll, pump your brakes, and slow up on the magnesium because I know that's, you know, on the horizon and everybody's talking about magnesium this, magnesium that. Oh, we're making magnesium butter, we're making magnesium lotion, we're making magnesium. Be careful. I'm just saying, be careful. I just think about what I said and how it could possibly work against you, you know? And like I said, when I was taking that magnesium, that 3-piece up under here was so pronounced. I was like, what am I going to? I thought about wearing, I don't know, tape here. I thought about taping up my neck. I was getting desperate. I was like, I'm too young. Yes, I'm 63. I'm still young and I think kind of cute still. I don't know. But anyway, when I stopped the magnesium, I stopped beating Sheila. Sheila didn't need to be beat anymore. I just would smile, and Sheila would tighten up. Sheila would tighten up. Now, I don't sit around smiling like the Cheshire Cat, like I done lost my mind, but nothing wrong with smiling, because if you smile at somebody, 9 times out of 10, they're going to smile back. Ting! Sorry. Anyway, um, you know, I really have been bitten by the travel bug, and I love to travel now. I do. I love to fly. I love when that plane takes off. I love sleeping in flight. I give my little confidence. And when I came back from Dubai, I had 4 seats to myself. It was a 3-4-3 configuration. 3 seats over there, 3 seats over here, and then the 4 seats down the middle. I was in the middle. And see, I played this game of musical airplane seats where I pick my seat. You know how you pick your seat, right? I pick my seat, and I always pick the seat in the middle on the 3 configuration. I sit in the middle, right? I pick the middle seat because most people want to sit together. So most couples are not going to want to sit where someone has just planted themselves right in the middle. I know it's probably not the best thing to do. It's probably not right, but that's what I do because I want to get the whole row to myself if I can. And that's how I do it. I pick the middle seat and they're like, dang, somebody's picked the middle seat. So if we pick the other 2 seats, we're going to be separated by this one people who chose to pick the middle seat. So we can't sit together now. Instead of me picking the window seat or the aisle seat, I pick the middle seat. And then sometimes 2 people will pick the seat to my right and to my left. I'm like, who does that? Anyway, so that's what I do. And I heard someone say they did that. And I'm like, why would you be an asshole and do that? And then I've learned, well, it's not so much they're being an asshole, they're just trying to get the whole row of seats to themselves. And when the flight isn't crowded, you can get a whole row. Well, I played that game and I played the musical seats on the flight back. And I got the whole row to myself. And it seemed like somebody wasn't happy about me having the whole row, right? So I had the whole row to myself, and I just tried to keep it low profile. I tried to keep it real quiet, just keep cool, keep calm, wait till we take off. Don't stretch out yet. Don't do anything. Just, play it cool. So then the flight attendant comes up to me just as we're about to take off, and she says to me, is anybody sitting here? Now you know whether someone's sitting there or not. You've got the configuration. You've got the names of who's sitting where. But she came up and she asked me, she said, is anybody sitting here? I said, no. Okay. So then we take off. Still, nobody's sitting there. I'm like, yes, we've taken off. No one's got those 3 seats. They're all mine, and I'm going to be able to lay down and stretch out on the seat, right? I brought my own blanket to put my own blanket down on the seats. I had my own pillow that I had to drag with me everywhere that I went so that I could put my head down on my clean pillow, my clean blanket, right? So they served the first meal. You get 3 meals on the flight, right? They served the first meal. I ate my meal. I order kosher. I don't always eat much of it because most of the time it's a lot of bread. But then I didn't realize I had so many options. There's like 15 options you can choose from in terms of a meal. And I could have gotten a keto meal, which meant I wouldn't have gotten any bread or any rice. They would have given me some other things to eat. So now I know. But anyway, I ate what I could from what they sent me, which wasn't much of anything. And then I always cook my meals for the flight, just in case they don't have what I can eat. I have a full meal. Trust me. I have steak for one meal. I have chicken for another meal, and I have salmon for another meal. Right? I buy a little piece of salmon at the market. I buy one little steak. I buy a couple of thighs, and I'm good for the whole flight. So anyway, they served the first meal. I ate a bite of this, a bite of that off of what they sent me. And then I ate my food. And then after I'm done, I get my toothbrush, I go to the bathroom, I, take care of myself in the restroom, brush my teeth, wash my hands, come back out. I'm sitting in the aisle seat on this side, and these three seats down to the aisle seat are empty when I leave. When I come back, there's a guy sitting in the end seat. Now, when I came back home, I was cute. Okay. I bought this dress from Zara in Thailand. It was a sleeveless dress, but it was a sweater dress, and it had a little sash that tied and hung down the side, and it was beige. And I bought this little beige hooded jacket with a gold zipper. It was just cute. And I had on these brown pumps. I have to show you the pumps. But anyway, I had on these brown pumps. I was just cute. I was just cute. So I went to the restroom, came back, and this guy is sitting at the other aisle end seat. So there's four seats in my row. The aisle seat I'm sitting in, the two middle seats, and then the aisle seat on the end, right? Which was where my feet were gonna go. Okay. And I come back and this guy is sitting in the seat. I'm like, dang, really? Really? Hmm. So I went and spoke to the flight attendant and I said, I'm not trying to make a big issue and I didn't want to say anything to the guy, but I had already laid out my blanket and put my things out and I just went to the restroom. When I came back, this guy was sitting in the seat and I was just wondering, would it be possible if he could sit in the seat across from my aisle, either next to my aisle or the aisle from where he came from? Because I didn't know where he came from. I would later find out that he was seated behind me, him and his wife and his two little children. He had two children. The oldest, they were like 2 and 4 years old. And his wife had this seat. One child had this seat. The next child had that seat. And he was sitting on the end. But he decided he didn't want to sit with his wife and his two children. He wanted to come up to they were behind me. He wanted to come up to my row and sit in the end seat in my row. I'm like, I'm a woman traveling by myself. I got my pillow, my blanket all laid out, and this guy comes from the row behind me and wants to sit in my row. Across from his row, there were two empty seats. There was a guy sitting next to the window and two empty seats. Across from my row, there was two people sitting there and another empty seat. He could have been sitting directly across because he told the flight attendant when I asked them if they could address it, they said to me, well, we can't make him move because the seats don't belong to you and they don't belong to him. Neither one of you paid for them. You only paid for one seat. So, the seats are kind of up for grabs when we have available seating. I said, but yes, um, but I had already established myself here and I'm just wondering if he wouldn't mind. I was really doing my best to be diplomatic and not I wasn't trying to cause a scene. I wasn't loud. I was just like, could you maybe ask him if he could relocate to another seat? And so they just said to me, we can ask him, but if he doesn't move, there's nothing we can do. I was like, okay. So I went back and I sat down and I don't know what the conversation was. I was ear hustling, but I really couldn't hear. But the answer was no, he wasn't going to move. He wasn't going to move. And I said to him, I said, well, I tell you what, would it be okay? He said he wanted to sit near his wife and his two children. So I said to him, well, since I have the whole row here, I tell you what, why don't you and your wife and your two children, why don't y'all take my row and wherever you're sitting, I'll go sit. And he said, well, I'm sitting right behind you. My wife and kids are right behind you. I'm like, are you serious right now? I'm like, that's your wife. I don't know how I would feel if my husband got up out the seat and went to sit next to or with another woman traveling by herself. I don't know how I would have felt about that. I'm like, what is your intention? What is your what is on your mind, mister? Why don't you want to sit there with your wife and your children? Okay. She was holding one child in her lap. So there was actually a vacant seat in their row, but he wanted to sit in the row that I was in. I was like, what is going on? So I when he said he was right behind me, and I said, but sir, there's also if he and he told the flight attendant he wanted to be close to his wife and children. Well, close to your wife and children would be right where you could even see them. If he had stayed in the same row, there were two seats right across from him. He could have sat in, but he had to come sit in the row. You know what? I said, you know what? I'm going to lay down. And I covered myself with, I put my abaya on and I buttoned up my abaya. And my abaya came down to my ankles. I put on my abaya because I was cold and because he was there. And I pulled my blanket over me and I said, do not touch my feet. And I laid down and I had my camera on like this. He sat there for a good 5 or 6 hours and then he decided he would get up and go sit back there with his wife. I was like, I felt like he was doing that just to be obstinate, just to be mean. You know, if he was concerned, he said he wanted to be near his wife and kids. Well, there's two seats across from your row, and you can look and see your wife and kids right there. But if you're sitting up here with me, you can't see your wife and kids back there. He was just being obstinate. So anyway, that was I'd have to say that was the only. Well, there was something else that happened when I rented the car. Do I want to tell that story? In Dubai, because of some things that have happened and certain types of women who have traveled over there for certain types of uh, engagements, um, I think they think some of us or all of us come there for the same thing. And I wasn't there for that. I went there in October with my husband for my anniversary. I went to Doha by myself and I stayed by myself. No one was there with me. I was solo traveling, solo moving, solo visiting, solo touring by myself. So when I went back to Dubai for the second trip, actually my third trip, because I went to Dubai in October, then I went back in January, left Dubai and went to Thailand, left Thailand and came back to Dubai. So for my third trip back to Dubai, um, I needed to rent a car to go to the mosque because I waited till the last minute to book the excursion and they didn't have any room left on the bus. So I booked a car. So they said they were going to charge me like, I forget what they were going to charge me, but it was something expensive. And the reason why I chose this particular car place was because they said they had low prices. And I wouldn't have to do a credit card hold. I don't like doing credit card or debit card holds because that holds your money up. And then you got to wait for your money to be put back. And then I'm scared, once I leave the country, you might not put the money back. But they put the money back. They're not dirty. They're not crooked. If they're supposed to put the money back, they're going to put the money back. I don't care where I go. That's just my mindset. I don't care where I am. That's just how I think. I'm not slighting anybody there in Dubai because everyone that I have encountered in Dubai has been the utmost respectful and honest people, okay? Most hospitable. So anyway, I looked at them because you didn't have to have a hold put on your card. They said, okay, well, this is what it's going to cost to rent the car. And I said, wow, well, your prices were advertised as something much lower. They said, well, if you want the lower price, we can give you the lower price. I was like, yeah, I want the lower price. Of course. Why not? Why wouldn't I? That's what you advertise. So then they said, but you'll have to pay a deposit of X amount of dollars. I said, but your ad says no deposit required, no holds, no deposit, nothing. And they were like, okay, all right, well, we won't charge you the deposit. We can do the whole thing for, I think it was like 2,500 reals, which was like $800 or something like that. And I'm like, no. I said, okay, just cancel my reservation. And they were like, well, whoa, hold on. They were like, hold on. Now, first you tried to get me, with a deposit. Then you tried to get me with, an outrageous amount to rent the car, And then when I told you no, I guess they thought, they had the average tourist who says, okay, whatever, I'll pay it. I'm not that tourist. I'm not that tourist. Okay, I'm gonna haggle. I'm gonna negotiate, and they expect you to haggle and want to negotiate. They expect this. This is what I'm told. Okay, they expect to haggle and to negotiate. So you're not insulting them when you do this. Okay, so and normally I don't like to haggle and negotiate because I figure when someone charges a price, they got a family to feed, they're trying to pay some bills, and whatever your price is, if I can pay it, I want to pay it because I'm helping you, you helping me, you're providing me a service, and you're putting food on the table for your family. I'm all about it, right? But I really felt like they were just trying to take me for bad. So the price came down about 3 times, right? Because I told them I'm not going to pay a deposit because you say there's no deposit. You're not going to put a hold on my car because you say there's no hold. And I'm not going to pay you 3 times the amount, of what I know I can get this for someplace else for a lot less. So I said, cancel the reservation. No, thank you. And they're like, well, hold on. I'm like, no, you tried to take me for bad. You thought I was Boo Boo the Fool. And now you want to try and negotiate with me after trying to consider me to be Boo Boo the Fool. Um, so now I don't want to do business with you because you kind of insulted me a little bit. And it's not that they insulted me. They look at it this way. If there's an opportunity to get more, they're going to try and get more. Okay. Um, um, hey, some people got it like that. I don't, where they can just drop, $1,000 to rent a car for a day. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. Why would I do that when I know I can do it for better? So anyway, the guy says to me, okay, well, we'll do it for $250 for the day. I said, okay, bet, we'll do that. No problem. And when the guy got there, first of all, I said, well, what time will you be here? I said, because I need to leave by 9 o'clock. That's what time the excursion was supposed to pull off. They said, oh, we'll be there in 30 minutes. 30 minutes turned into an hour. 30 minutes turned into 12 noon before they got there with the car. So when the guy gets there with the car, he says, I'm here. He texts me, he says, I'm here. So I go outside and I'm looking. I don't see nobody. And so I texted him. I said, well, where are you? I don't see you. And he didn't text me back. So I texted him back. I said, listen, I'm just going to call it quits for the day. I said, I don't know where your driver is. He says he's here. He took a picture of the front of the building to say that he was here, but I don't see him. He's not out here. And so he walks, I see this guy walking towards me and he motions me. And I'm like, why didn't you just pull up in front of my building? Why are you there? And he's down the block. And then he has like an attitude. I don't know. I don't know why he had an attitude. I'm like, why should you have an attitude? You told me you'd be here in 30 minutes. That was at 8 a.m. Okay. Here it is 12 noon and you just got here. Why do you have an attitude? And then you parked down the street. You took a picture to show me you were in front of the building. But when I got downstairs, you weren't in front of the building. And I waited downstairs in the lobby for at least an hour and a half for you all to get here. And then I went back and told you when you all get here, call me. Okay. And then you send me a picture saying I'm here, but you parked down in the next block across the street. Why are you mad? I don't get it. I don't get it. So I walk around the car, I video around the car, I take pictures, I video the inside of the car, front to back, open the hood, open the trunk. Okay? Because you ain't gonna get me for nothing. You're not gonna get me for nothing. And they tried. So I signed the paper, and he said after 200 kilometers, you have to pay for mileage. I said, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. I said, first of all, I got to check and see how many kilometers it is away from my hotel to um, Abu Dhabi. And it was about 250 kilometers round trip from Dubai to Abu Dhabi and then, back round trip. And so he says, I said, well, I might get lost or something. I need a little padding here. I said, can you do unlimited mileage and I'll fill it back up? I said, I'm just going to Abu Dhabi. And so he calls the office and they're like, no, we can't do that. We can't give you unlimited mileage. I said, well, cancel the reservation. I'm done. I'm tired. I've waited. I'm agitated because he's agitated and I don't know why he's agitated, you know. And so I said, just cancel. They went, well, hold on. No, I'm tired. So they're like, okay, we'll give you 280 kilometers. No, they said they give me 300 kilometers free. And I said, okay, that works. That works. 300 kilometers is good because it was 250 round trip. And that way I was able to get a little lost because I did go off the beaten path a little bit for about maybe 7 or 8 minutes. And then I got back on, I found my way and got there and then made it back. So I didn't go over the 300 kilometers. And I got back after dark. I was driving in the dark on the highway, coming back from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. I was so proud of myself. I mean, I really had to pat myself on the back because I scared. I scared. I was really, really scared on that drive going over there and coming back. I was scared because even coming back, there was a certain stretch of the highway where there was no one. No one. And they got this place called Military City in Dubai. And I don't know, that name just kind of scared me, Y'all got a whole military city? What is that? I'm like, what is military city? I was just scared. I was scared. I was scared. But anyway, I rode past that sign and it kind of spooked me a little bit, but I made it back. I made it back. I drove from Dubai by myself to Abu Dhabi. Walked all around the mosque, did everything I wanted to do in Abu Dhabi. Well, I didn't do everything I wanted to do because I wanted to go to a couple of other places, but I got there so late I couldn't go to the other places that I wanted to go to. But the main place I wanted to go to was the Grand Mosque. So I did that and walked all over the mosque and everything, saw everything to see, I saw. And then I drove back. I did that. I did that. I did that. I did that. I did. I did. I was proud of myself. But anyway, so I come back and I had the car for 24 hours. And so I contacted them and I said, thank you for the car. It rode well, but it had a warning light about one of the tires. What if I had a flat tire out there on that highway? But anyway, I made it back. No problems. Thanks be to Yahweh. And so I said, I made it back. Thank you very much. What time will you be here to pick up the car tomorrow? They said, we'll be back within the 24-hour time limit to pick up the car. I said, okay, cool, because you all got here around 12. And hopefully you all can pick it up before then because I have some things that I'd like to do. And I'd like for you all to pick up the car and clear the car and let me know that everything's okay, and that you're not charging me for anything extra. So if you could get here a little earlier than 12, that would be great. Because I'm ready to turn the car over. I have other things that I'm going to be doing, and I can do that on my own power. So I waited. And I waited and I kept texting them, when are you coming? When are you coming? When are you coming? You said you'd be here by 12. I said, if you could get here a little earlier, that would be good. When are you coming? Oh, we'll be there. The driver will be there soon. The driver's coming. Okay. When is he coming? It's almost 12. He's not here. When is he coming? And I sent like 6 or 7 messages. And it was a good thing I did. So then the guy gets there to pick up the car. And he's walking around the car and he kept walking around the car. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop it. Just stop it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with the car. There's no damage to the car. And then he would call the office and then he'd walk around the car again. And I'm like, sir, are we good? Because I'd like to sign off and get my receipt because I have some other places I'd like to go and visit today. Are we okay? And he wouldn't really give me an answer. He just kept walking around the car and picking up the phone and call. I was like, okay, what is happening right now? So then he says to me, I need money for gas. And his English is kind of broken. He said, I need money for gas. I said, what do you mean you need money for gas? I said, the deal was I was supposed to pay 250 reals for the car. It was a what they considered a luxury car. It was a BMW Q something. I don't remember. But anyway, I got it on video. Y'all will see it. Um, and he was saying, I need money for gas. And the way he was saying it was broken. And it was like he was just trying to get something out of me. Not that I was supposed to pay for it, but um, I figured out what he was saying. He was saying, we brought you a car on a full tank of gas. You have to return it on a full tank of gas. And that's the way it is with most of these car rental people. If you get a full tank of gas, you got to bring it back on a full tank. But the way he said it, I didn't understand it. And the way he kind of it just got lost in translation is all. And I didn't understand. And I got a little offended and I thought he was just trying to get something out of me because like I said, he kept walking around the car and looking at the car like he was trying to find something wrong or scratched or dented or damaged or something. And he wasn't really talking to me. So I'm thinking he's just trying to get something out of me. But I guess he figured it out to say, I'm trying to, and he kept saying, I need 50 reals for gas, which is nothing. 50 reals is like, I think it's like $15, $15, $20, because gas is cheap over there, right? But he never said how much, he didn't say how much he needed. He just kept saying, I need money for gas. But if he had told me he needed 50 reals, I'd have been like, well, 50 reals, that's nothing. Here, take 50 reals. It's 10, 15, $12, something like that. Take the $15, whatever. But he didn't, he just said, I need money for gas. And like I said, when he kept walking around the car, I'm like, is he trying to find something wrong? Is he trying to say I did something bad to the car, to get some more money out? I don't know what he was doing. I didn't understand. So he said, I have to take the car back with what I figured out. He didn't say it that way, but I figured out. You got it on the full tank, you got to bring it back on a full tank. So then I gave him the money. But before that, he yelled at me and he jumped at me. And I said, and when he jumped at me, I guess he thought I was going to draw back, but I stood my ground. He was a little tea sandwich of a man, 5'4", 5'5". I'm 2 inches taller than this man, and he and he was real small, real, maybe 100 pounds. I don't know, but he jumped at me when I refused the gas money, and I didn't move. And then he started yelling at me, I guess, because I guess he figured, I don't know if he was trying to intimidate me or what, but he yelled at me. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you yelling for? I said, first of all, it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was expecting you all at 12 o'clock. You're yelling me, and I didn't understand what it was you were asking me. I said, I understand now. And I said, you yelling at me and jumping at me like that, getting in my face. And then and so when he got loud at me, I got loud back at him. And you don't do that over there. Ain't nobody supposed to be out on the street yelling at people. They don't do that. They don't have that over there. Okay. But when he yelled at me, I reciprocated. So he said, come, come. So when I started yelling at him, he calmed down. And he was like, come, come, sit in my car. I'm not getting in your car. For what? Anyway, I gave him the 50 reels and I said, may I have my contract and is my contract clear? And he called the office and he said the office said that they're charging you another 795 reals because you kept the car for an additional day. I said, I did not keep the car for an additional day. I said, you all told me I had the car for 24 hours, which would have been 12 o'clock today. It is now 3 p.m. and I have been waiting for you since early this morning because I asked that you all pick the car up early this morning so that I could go about my day and not have to sit here and wait for you all to pick up this car. I asked that you all come early, earlier than 12, and you all did not show. I was actually talking to the manager back at the office at this time because I couldn't even deal with this guy anymore. And so I said, I asked that you all come early so that I could go about my day. And you all said you would be there, within the 24-hour time frame. And that was at 12 p.m. And here it is 3 o'clock, and your driver's just here to pick the car up, you know. So, they were very apologetic. And he said, well, we're going to take something off your bill, because you had to wait and because of the misunderstanding. I'm telling you, when these people make a mistake, they're very hospitable. It was a misunderstanding. It was lost in translation. He was trying to tell me one thing. I took it another way. He's walking around the car because he's waiting to verify, I guess, how much gas was in the tank, but it was on the contract. At least I thought it was. Normally they mark it on the contract how much was in the tank when they dropped the car off. But I guess he didn't see it on the contract. It wasn't there. So he was just walking around the car, waiting for someone to pick up the phone so he could find out if he needed to collect gas money from me. And once he found that out, that yes, he needed to collect money from me, then he said, I need gas money, but he didn't say how much. And then finally he said, I need 50 reals. It just got lost in translation. But that was the worst of anything that happened. I mean, I was treated well. There was some times where I felt like somebody was kind of side eyeing me, and it was usually the older women with the burqa, with the abayas and the niqab. Um, I kind of felt like they was. It could have been my own paranoia, and I really believe that it was okay. Um, But I realized that they know there are people who come from the West who come there for all the wrong reasons, to do all the wrong things. And I wasn't even dressed that way. Okay. When I went to the mall, I had this one blue dress and it's got these little white flowers on it and it's got long sleeves. And it was only like 75, 78 degrees. It wasn't really as warm as I really wanted it or expected it to be. But the weather was beautiful. It was really beautiful. It was really, really beautiful. Too cool to get in the water at the beach, but it was beautiful. And I had this one blue dress when I went out. I put on this navy blue dress. It had these white flowers, and I put on pants under the dress, and I wore my abaya. But the one thing that I did that I figured out I shouldn't have done, it's like if you're gonna wear the abaya, wear it right. Don't put the abaya on and wear it open. That abaya is supposed to be buttoned up. Okay? Even if you got on a dress down to your calves, to the end of your calves, and even if you have on a pair of pants, you don't wear the abaya open. Either you wear it right or you don't wear it at all. And really, by me having I was completely covered. Décolleté, shoulders, my the only thing you could see was my wrist and my hands. Okay. Um, but I was covered and I really didn't have to wear the abaya just because I had on a long sleeve dress and I had on loose pants, underneath. No, I didn't wear any leggings. I didn't take any leggings. If I had on leggings, I had my leggings on underneath of my pants because I might have been just a little chilly that day. But anyway, um, I I think I got side eyed. Oh, my phone's about to cut off. I think I got side eyed because I had my abaya open. and you're not supposed to do that. And I found that out later. Either wear it right or don't wear it at all. And that, I want to be respectful, and that's why I packed two abayas. Actually, I had three abayas. I had a black one, two black ones, and I had a white one. And I wanted to be respectful. I don't want to go to anybody's house being disrespectful, you know. Um, when you're in someone else's house, someone else's home, someone else's country, you should observe their practices. You don't have to go to the mosque and pray 6 times a day like they do, but be respectful, cover up, and no one there is telling you you have to pray 6 times a day. No one's telling you that, but they're just asking you cover yourself up and be respectful. Be conservative and cover up. And for the people that go over there and don't do that, I just think it's just the utmost disrespect. And you don't realize that when you go over there dressed like that, you're carrying yourself in a way that makes them believe that we all carry ourselves in that way, and we don't, because I don't. Okay, I'm not going to walk around with a skirt on to my burning bush because number one, I've never dressed that way. I've never worn mini skirts or booty shorts and walked around with my butt hanging out. I've never done that. Um, I when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Hold on one second. Let me get my charger because my phone's about to cut off. Y'all still there? Normally, my phone would have cut off because I would always forget to charge my phone up. Okay, there we go. So, but anyway, hold on one second. Let me move this cord over this way. What if we do this? I'll put you right here behind Buddha. Buddha holding line. Anyway, so yeah, that was like the worst that happened, but it was just something that got lost in translation. I was treated well there, you know. When I felt like somebody was side eyeing me, I was like, that's probably some remnants of something else that they may have seen. But my sister, I'm a 63-year-old woman here, okay? And my arms are covered, my décolleté is covered, my legs are covered, and I didn't have to. I mean, if I wanted to wear a dress and just so long as my knees were covered, I could have gone out like that, just so long as the dress came over my knees. But I covered my legs, I covered my arms, my décolleté, because I wanted to be respectful and I wanted to be respected in turn. And I got that. I got that. I mean, I see people who are traveling the world. When I'm out and about traveling, I see people who are clearly from the states. Women walking around with their butt cheeks hanging out of their shorts. And trust and believe the police will stop, not the police, but the mall security. And mall security is dressed in their suit and ties and, they look polished and everything. And they will politely escort you, wherever they escort you to. Maybe they have you put on something else, or they tell you you have to leave if you don't have anything else to put on. You have to go back and put something. You can't be out here like this. And some people they stop. Some people I guess they miss because some people I see they walk around like that, and nobody's saying anything, and maybe it's because they didn't see them. I don't know. I don't know. But I do my best to be respectful. If you say don't do this, I'm not going to do that. If you say don't wear this, I'm not. And if I feel like I can't abide by, you know, your country's rules, then I can't come to your country. I won't visit your country. But I don't have a problem with being conservative. I don't have a problem with being respectful and covering up. I don't have a problem with that. But some people just, some women just feel like they have to lead with their ass and their tits. Some women just feel like, well, darn, I can't seem to keep a man's attention by just talking to him. I gotta put my boobs in his face. I gotta put my butt in his face to keep his attention. And trust and believe, and I've said this before, if that's the way you think you attract a man, you're going to attract the wrong kind of man. Because any man that would be attracted to you because you were walking around because your butt was hanging out, he got some issues. Okay. He's got probably some insecurities, number one, where he has to have a woman who's going to flaunt, excuse me, her behind, who's going to flaunt her breasts. Okay. And then he may get insecure with you and get mad at you because a man looked at you or complimented you. But any man that will compliment you or look at you or show you any attention when you're dressed like that, that's not the kind of man you want, I promise you. Because the next woman that passes him by dressed that way is going to turn his head too. And you're going to have a problem with him because he's going to be running and hopping from bed to bed, from house to house, because he was attracted by some naked tail. If you can walk down the street with your arms covered, with your knees covered, with your décolleté covered, and a man still speak to you, that might be, that might be a possibility. That might be an option. That might be a keeper. See, I and anybody with, you know, who can get one eye open, okay? Anybody who can get one eye open can tell what a woman is shaped like, even without a bodycon dress on, even without wearing the tightest fitting clothes where we can see, where we can see every cut, every split, every slit, every curve. You don't have to be dressed like that for a man to know what you shape like under that dress. I can tell what a woman is shaped like if she's covered, you know. We don't have to put our sexuality before our mouth. We don't have to put our sexuality before our intelligence. If you're not able to keep a conversation with a man and keep it clean, because oh my goodness, I heard some grown folks, some people that's supposed to be grown in their 50s and 60s having the most filthiest conversation in mixed company. It was just disrespectful. And the two women that were talking to this man, I mean, he was actually, I don't think this man could believe how these two women were talking to him. And these two women actually believed the nastier, the more filthy way to speak to this man was going to attract him. But it was really, I think it was really having the opposite effect on him. He was just really taken aback on how these women were talking to him. Because I'm guessing he's saying, well, if you talk like this, you must engage like this. And if you engage like this, that means you hopping in and out of bed with just any and everybody. Don't no man want no woman like that. That's not a keeper. That's a jump off. That's what they used to call back in the day a one night stand. That's a jump off. That's not nobody you take home to your mama. That's not nobody you take home to your auntie. She dressed like a thought. She got to put her sexuality before her intelligence. And some people don't have the level of intelligence to keep the quality of man that they really want. So they're like, well, I ain't got nothing else but ass and tits. This is all I can give you. Here, look at this. Look, pay attention to this. Because look at it. And I have seen women go out here and spend thousands of dollars on mommy makeovers. And then after the mommy makeover is done, maybe they put on a little weight. The snatch that was snatched is no longer snatched. It's a pot belly now. Um, it's like, why did you spend those thousands of dollars if you weren't even going to take care of yourself afterwards? You know, you felt like you got snatched and you felt like you could just start eating any and everything because you got snatched. But now look at you, and you're still without that man you thought that that snatched mommy makeover was going to afford you, and it didn't. You know, there's this one lady that I watch. I think she's a sweet, sweet lady. This lady comes to her channel. She don't come to her channel gossiping about people. She don't talk about people. She just talks about her life experiences, and you know, she encourages other people. She's a sweet lady. She's really friendly, but she spent all this money on a mommy makeover, and still she by herself. And that's not what she wants. She don't want to be by herself. She wants a man like most women do. And I know the pickings is slim, but it's like we've been led astray. We've been run amok, and we've forgotten how to love one another. We were the blueprint of love and all great things. And somebody started telling us our skin was too dark, our noses was too wide, our lips were too big, and our asses were too fat, you know? Our women, they weren't this, and our men weren't shit. And we believed what someone else outside of who we were, we believed what they told us about us. We are the Lotharios of love, family, making it, sticking it out and staying together. But somebody else stepped in and told us we weren't. And now we have grown apart and separate, can't get along, looking in other backyards when we shouldn't, when all the love and nurturing that we need is right here with our own people and our own family. I don't have nothing against nobody else's race. Nothing. I want these people over here to do well. I want these people over here to do well. I want my people over here to do well. I want those people over there to do well. I want everybody to prosper, thrive, and do well, and have love, and lots of babies, and lots of grandchildren, and lots of love and peace. That's what I want. That's what I want for everybody. I don't have anything against anybody. But ladies, if you put your sexuality first, you are enticing the wrong man. Because a man who sees your sexuality and sees that first and is enamored by your sexuality, that's all it means to him is sex. That's all it means. And you're going to end up with the wrong man. Because he's going to be out here the same thing you got. How many other women got that too? How many other women got the same thing you got? Okay? Most women got breasts. Most women got a butt. All of us got this. Okay? Some smaller than others, but everybody got one. And everybody swear that they can work it better or different than somebody else. Baby, it's gonna come a time when this right here ain't what it used to be. When this right here ain't what it used to be. When this right here ain't what it used to be. Okay? What are you gonna do then? Okay? What you gonna do then? Because if that man ain't interested because, you know, he's sickly, he's on blood pressure medications, and blood pressure medications can cause ED. And once he's got that, how y'all gonna stay in love? How y'all gonna stay together for all these years? If you don't love each other, if you don't know each other first, if you don't care about each other first. I, I saw this young man, I don't know if he had a stroke. I think he was in a car accident, and they had put him in a coma. And by him being in a coma, he had to learn to do everything. He's learning to talk right now. For a while he couldn't speak. I don't know if he had a stroke. No, I think it was a car accident, but I think the coma caused him not to be able to speak. And he's just learning to speak again. He can repeat things if you tell him to repeat things, But anyway, he's a young guy. I don't think he's any more than 25 years old. And his wife couldn't be any more than that. And they have a child together. And he wanted a kiss. He kept motioning for her to come close to him. He wanted a kiss. And the way she leaned over to kiss him, she was like, it was real stiff. Like she didn't want to kiss him because he don't look. One side of his head is shaved because I don't know if his head was busted open or in the accident or if they had to open his skull up or what. And he kind of looks a little different. He's a very handsome young man though. Beautiful face, beautiful hair, beautiful skin. He's beautiful. But his body is a little deformed because when you laid there for so long, your body starts to atrophy, your muscles start to atrophy, and certain parts of your body might twist inward. Your hands could twist inward, your feet could twist inward. And I think she wasn't she'd never seen him that way. And I don't know, it seemed like it grossed her out, but I'm like, that's your husband. You say you loved him. You married him. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, for sickness and in health, you know? And right now he can't do anything for himself. And it's like his mother is there, and I know she's doing a lot of the work. And I know he has to go to the restroom, if the nurses aren't doing it, his mother's doing it because the wife don't look like she can handle it. She barely looked like she wanted to even kiss him when he wanted to kiss. So I mean, when you get with these people, you have to ask yourself, if something were to happen to this person, would I be able to stick around? Would I want to stay around? Because if a man was only attracted to you because of how you present sexually, well, what if you lose that ability? What if you lose all that? What if you can't move like that no more? What if what if you're not able to function like that anymore? Is that man going to want to stay with you? Heck no. He was attracted to your sexuality. And if you lose that ability to arouse him or be sexual with him, you think he's going to stick around and stay? Heck no. He might stick around and stay because you got some money coming in because you're hurt or injured or whatever. But trust and believe when it's, you stuck up in the bed, he's going to tip out. 9 times out of 10, he is going to tip out. He was attracted to you for that one thing. And if you can't supply that one thing, he gone. You have to be able to build a relationship with somebody to get somebody to want to stick around and stay with you. Okay? You have to be able to build a relationship. Y'all have got to have a connection outside of the bedroom. And I see so many women, the first thing they do when they go to the club, this man hasn't even gotten her phone number. They in the bathroom. And he in the bathroom knocking it off in the bathroom. He hasn't even gotten this woman's phone number. And they in the bathroom. And he knocking it off in the. First of all, why in such a filthy, dirty place would you? What do you think this man thinks of you? If she went in the bathroom with me and I ain't even got this woman's phone number, she must be doing this with everybody. This ain't somebody I can take home to mama. If this is how she rolling it down, she must be rolling around and getting down like this with everybody. I don't want a woman like that. And these women, some of these women today think that if I put the goods out, if I put out and show him what I'm working with, I can mesmerize and hypnotize and keep him. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you won't. The friendship, the relationship has to come first. It was 9 months before my husband saw any parts of the 9 months. I waited. I said no. Well, we kissed, we held hands. We did other things, but you're not doing that. No, no, and no. Because I told my husband, I was young, you know, 22, and I had been through a couple of breakups at the age of 22. Nothing really serious, but I was like, if I get into another relationship and it don't work out, I'm going to join a convent. That's exactly what I said at the age of 22. I did. I did. And then I met my husband at the club. I never thought I would meet a man of my dreams at the club. I thought I was going to meet my husband over a head of lettuce, and he was going to attempt to pick up the lettuce, and I was going to attempt to pick it up, and our hands was going to accidentally touch, and we were going to fall in love over lettuce. That was my love story. That's how I thought we were going to meet. But I met my husband at the club, and I would have never thought I would have met a man that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with at a club. I wouldn't know. Because I knew what the men at the club were doing. I know why they were there. I knew what they were doing. He was different. I was different. But it was 9 months. And I said, if I'm worth it, you will wait. You will wait. hmm And he waited. And I think he got a little impatient and he slipped with an old girlfriend. Because he told me about it. Because I asked him. Because, when the spidey senses kick in, I was like, so did you, when your family went to? He said, yes. I said, okay. All right. Well, I don't know where we go from here, but you couldn't wait. And if you couldn't wait, oh well. What do you want me to do? So we didn't see each other for a while. And then he came back and he was like, please, please, I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. And I took him back. And then 2 months later, was it 2 months later? Wait, August, September, October, November, December. 4 months later, he proposed. I said, okay. I said, okay. But we were separated for a little bit, and then we got back together. And during the 9th month of us getting back together, I gave him some. But I didn't, like they say, throw it back. I wasn't really trying to. I said we'll save that for after the nuptials have occurred. You know, I said too much in that moment, but you know, I'm just telling you all, you have got to stop putting your ass before your relationships. You've got to stop putting your ass before your heart. Okay. And you definitely have to stop putting your ass before your mind, because you got to think about some of the things that some of these men are doing to you, and you're allowing them, you're enabling them to do these things because you stick around and you put up with that type of activity and foolishness that you know you really wouldn't approve of, because you would tell your girlfriends, girl, you know he ain't doing you right. Why are you sticking around? Why are you allowing him to do this? Why are you allowing him to run hither and thither and do what he want to do? Why do you make excuses for him all the time? You know this isn't the man for you. He's not even a man yet. He's not even quite the frontal lobally, the frontal lobe. He's not. I just made up two new words. He's not frontally lobally uh, developed. So no, this isn't gonna work. And but yet you keep enabling his behavior. You got to stop putting your ass before common sense. The relationship, the friendship has to come first. The friendship has to come first. Y'all have to be friends. Okay? Then you can have a relationship. And once the relationship is established, then well, you know what, we need to get serious, and then we can do other things. You know? And I mean other things. I'm keeping it PG here. You know, the world can be a lonely place. And nobody wants to be alone. And Yahweh never intended for us to be alone. And sometimes our expectations for a man are things that we read in a comic book, or seeing things, you know, ridiculous things that we see on TV that just aren't real. And the expectations are just kind of silly. I want a man to sweep me off of my feet on a black Arabian horse and sweep me away from the world, and you know, carry me off into the sunset, and I want to sit back and you know, eat bonbons and drink lattes all day. You know, there's so much more, and that's another video. That's another conversation. I've been on here long enough. I don't want to be here for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours because I got things that you know I need to attend to here, and I'm going to do those things. But I know the world can be a lonely place, especially now, because people are just so scattered, and we have been groomed into being scattered. I can remember when my kids started playing video games and they were playing Mario Brothers, and how my one son would be sitting here with his controller and my other son would be sitting here with his controller, and they'd be playing the same game together. And then all of a sudden, they told me they couldn't play together. I said, "What do you mean you can't play together?" And they were like, well, one person has to have a system and then the other person has to have a system. And then I heard it was, well, you have a system, but then you play with people on the internet that you don't know. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not ready for that. You play with people you don't know. You don't know who you're playing with, and I don't know who you're playing with. And why can't you play with your brother? Both of y'all are in the same house, and you're telling me that y'all can't play the same game together anymore. And with I gotta pay $500 for you to have one, and you gotta pay $500 for you to have one, and you in one room playing, and you in another room playing, and y'all not playing together. See, they we were groomed into this separate thing, separating our kids. Our kids don't go outside and play anymore. They don't play kickball, softball, basketball. They don't play the what are the games they play? Foursquare. kickball, Mother May I. We're not out there. The kids aren't out there playing the games, the hand games we used to play together. We're not doing that no more. Why? Why are we doing this? Why? We're being taught to be alone and by ourselves. And this is why we're alone and by ourselves. Those games that we learned when we were younger taught us how to be with and around other people. I'm watching this lady right now. This lady's not in the country right now. And this lady, she wants friends so bad. She wants a man so bad, but she doesn't know how to interact with people. It's gut-wrenching. It is sad. It is, oh, I don't have enough words. I don't have enough words for how this woman acts when she is around other people. Listen, this woman has had a lot of help from a lot of people around her. And like I said, she's not here in the States. She's in another country. And each and every one of these people that has helped her, she has come to her social media platform and talked about each and every one of these people like a dog. And these people know she has a YouTube. Some of these people have even been on her YouTube channel. They know she has a YouTube channel. And even though she knows this, she comes to YouTube and she talks about each and every person that has helped her, been there for her in some way. She has talked about them like a dog. And she says she wants friends. I'm like, but you can't keep friends like that, honey. You can't keep friends if you talk about your friends on social media and they're watching you. And I'm like, I don't understand how she don't get, why that don't click for her. Why she don't correlate that. You invite these people to be on your social media, and then a week later you turn around and you talk about these people on your social media platform like a dog, and then you wonder why you're not clicking with these people that are supposed to be your friends. Y'all was friends when y'all went out. They invited you out for drinks, and y'all went here, you went there. They came to your home, and then all of a sudden you fell out because they felt like you were supposed to pay for everything. But here's the thing: listen, if I invite you to my house, I'm paying for it. If I invite you to my house and we go out to dinner, I invited you. Okay, I'm paying for everything. We're gonna sit at the table and we're gonna argue about who's gonna pay. I'm gonna flip your card across the floor. You're gonna flip my card across. This is what we do as friends. This is how we act. This is how we behave. This is how we take care of one another. If I can't take care of you, I'm not going to invite you. If I can't invite you to my home and then not talk about you like a dog because I housed you and I fed you and I provided you all the comforts, and then I talked about you because you accepted all the comforts that you should have been afforded by me asking you to be a guest in my home. That's just what we do. But this lady, she don't understand that. She don't get that. See, she led somewhat of a sheltered life because she says that her mother suffered from mental illness. She was depressed a lot. Her mother wasn't around to groom her and teach her a lot of what she needed to know, especially as an adult, how you interact, how you have a relationship, how you have a friendship with a friend. She don't know how to be a friend. And it's sad because she wants friends. She wants a man so bad, but can't seem to keep one. She has been married, I think, twice. Well, the last guy she was with, she's an older woman, and the guy she was with was like, he was 24, 25, something like that. I don't know. And it didn't work out. But I mean, most of us on the outside looking in, we knew that wasn't going to work out. Um, and a lot of times those men are looking for a way to come to the States. But she was married to one guy for like 8 or 9 years or something like that, and that didn't work out. And then this guy that she met where she is now, that didn't work out. And she says the simple fact was that she didn't want to marry him, and that's why it didn't work out. But she's got videos on her channel, and she says she's calling this man her husband, and then she's got this ring on, and 10 days in the house, 10 days out the house. She's flaunting her ring. She's got her hand up like this, flaunting her ring. And she's calling this man her husband. And she says the reason why the relationship didn't work out was because she didn't want to get married, but she was calling him her husband. She said they were married. And I'm like, see, this is a problem because see, you're not being honest with yourself. And then you're coming to social media, and then it doesn't matter that you lie to people on social media because what does that matter? You know, but the matter is that you lie to yourself, and you tell yourself, I'm married to this man when you're not, and that it didn't work out because you didn't want to get married, but you came to social media and said you were married to it. When you Let me put it this way. Yahweh says he is not the author of confusion. And that was a whole lot of confusion because 1 minute together, 1 minute not together. 1 minute you're married to him, the next minute you're not. You broke up, but you broke up because he wanted to marry you, but you didn't want to get married, but you said you all were married. Confusion. Yahweh is not the author of confusion. He won't have anything to do with confusion. He won't bless confusion. He won't bless confusion. He will not. And when there's confusion, oftentimes there is nothing to prosper from, nothing to hold on to, nothing solid to hold on to when there's confusion. And like I said, it's sad. This lady wants friends. She says, I want friends. I want community. I want family. And she has family, but I think her family, I don't know. I don't know what her family thinks because I don't know her family. I don't know their dynamic. I don't know nothing about them. But I would think if I'm sitting here watching my sister on social media, and every time someone comes along and helps her, and then she talks about them like a dog, who wants that type of energy around? I don't. I don't want to help somebody or do something for somebody, and then they dog me out and say I'm the worst person on the planet Earth. And I've had that happen where I've helped somebody. They didn't even ask me for the help. But then they turned around and weaponized my help and said my help was too much. I was doing too much. But while I was doing it, you didn't have anything to say. But I was doing too much. I'm gonna leave that where that is because that's a whole situation I'm not bringing to social media. But anyway, anyway, who wants that type of energy around? And the people that she engages with as a friend, you know, it's the same thing. She'll go out with them, they'll have drinks, they'll go here, they'll go there. She tells them about her social media. Matter of fact, and then the other thing is they'll invite her out to go somewhere because she wants friends, right? They'll invite her to go somewhere. And then while she's out at the restaurant with them, she's sitting on social media doing a live at the restaurant. She don't know no better. She doesn't know any better. When I think some people, I can say a lot of this generation doesn't know any better, but this woman is not of this generation. She's almost 60 and she doesn't know these things. And it's sad because you can't tell her much of anything without her getting very upset and angry. And it's okay that she gets upset and angry because no one wants to be seen as ignorant or unknowing, and we get a little offended, when someone tells us something that we probably should know and that we didn't know. But this lady, she's kind of full of herself and she swears she's so deep and oh, I'm so deep and I just went so deep and it's kind of cringy, it's kind of embarrassing because she thinks she's deep in the things that she's saying. And sometimes she makes some really good points. But other times she's like, honey, you don't know how ignorant you sound right now. Please just stop. Stop. No, don't say nothing else. Please. You Oh gosh, she's still talking. Oh God. It's like that. And when you try to respectfully give her information or say, because I've seen people say things to her and she took it, in a way that wasn't going to help her. Let's just put it that way. She got offended, and you can't seem to tell her much of anything. You just can't. And you feel bad for her, but then after a while, you don't feel bad for her because it's like she got sick one time and she didn't have money to even buy medicine. And this lady, where she's in this country she's in, this lady came to her rescue and said, listen, you can have my bed, you can stay here. I'm going to be traveling. I'll pay. The lady paid for her medicine. And then when she got well enough to go back to where she could stay in her own place, she wanted to do some painting in the house. And this woman came over and painted the place for her. And she put on not one, but two, but three coats of paint. And she said, I'm getting tired of this woman being in my house. It's too much. I don't want her here. She's doing too much. She don't need to be putting all this paint up in here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. First of all, have that conversation with her. But be gentle in the conversation because this lady is volunteering her time. This lady didn't pay her a dime to come over. The woman said, I want my apartment painted. And this woman came over and painted the apartment when she could have very well have painted that place herself, but she couldn't. And that's kind of her MO. She has other people do other things for her so that if it doesn't turn out right, then she can blame somebody else. And then the other thing that kind of stuck out was that I'm not trying to pick on this lady. I'm not. I'm just making observations because she's very enigmatic to me. And I look at this woman and I'm like, huh? Huh? Like the little dog that goes, huh? I'm like, I don't get it. Why are you, what? She's very enigmatic to me. And it's like a case study I'm watching where I'm trying to just figure out what makes this type of person click. Why is this person like this? Why does this person act like this? What makes, I'm always interested in the underpinnings as to why a person acts the way that they do. Why do they respond the way that they do? That's always intrigued me, you know? And it's like I'm sitting here doing a case study. Why do you act like that? Why do you talk like that? Why do you speak that way? Why do you react that way? And not to say that I'm any better than anybody else. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying human reactions, they don't trigger me, but it just sparks a curiosity in me as to why people act and respond the way they do. Why do you act like that? Because you know what? Sometimes people can do things and I can be like, you know what? I'm ready to find fault with this person, but you know what? I can't find fault with them because I did the same thing. I did the same thing. I said the same thing. At one point in my life, I was doing the same thing they were doing. At one point in my life, I was saying the same things that they were saying. And it makes me look back and say, well, you know what? Well, why did you do that? Because I remember when I did that. Why did I do that? What was my situation? What was my circumstance that caused me to react or speak that way? It's just a curiosity of human nature and the enigmatic, why can't I say that word? The enigmatic ways that just are magnetic to me, you know? That's all I gotta say about that, I think. But like I said, she wants a man so bad. Like I said, she's close to 60 and she wants a man so bad. And I guess if I were to give her any advice, I would tell her to stop leading with her ass, you know, uh, and I won't say what she does, but some of the things that she does is it's not going to, like I said, it's not going to attract the kind of man she wants. You know, um, anytime you attract a man with your butt, he's going to cheat because it's a million other women out here with butts and tits and all that, and he's going to gravitate to the next set of boobs, to the next butt. Okay, because the same way you get him is the same way you got to keep him. The same way you got him, another woman gonna get him and keep him. I'm just saying. Tell me it don't make sense. Tell me I'm not making sense. But she wants a man, but she's got to stop leading with her butt. She thinks, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate what she thinks. But she has to stop leading with her butt. Okay. She is she's a lot of bit insecure. Because I noticed one thing that she does, and I'm not picking on her. I'm just saying, you know, the human condition, the way that we respond and react as human beings is just, it pulls me in. It makes me want to say, why, how? How come? Why do you respond this way? Why do you do, because it helps me to understand me and why I did things that I did and said things that I said. That's why I talk about it, not to pick at her or I'm not making fun of anybody. I am not. I've had my struggles. I've got my struggles. So, I can't point my booger finger at anybody. But she wants a man, but just like every person she's come in contact with, she has talked about them so bad. Even a couple of other guys she was trying to get with, and this one guy she tried to get with, and he just didn't want no parts of it. He's a young guy, and she's in her 60s, and this boy was in his 20s, and he just didn't want no parts. And she said he was gay because he didn't want to get with her. I'm like, this young man watches you, and you want his help from time to time. Why would you insinuate? She didn't insinuate. She said he was gay because he wasn't accepting her advances. So she said he was gay. He wasn't gay. He's just a young man in his 20s looking for a girl in her 20s to do the things that 20-year-olds do, not to get with a 60-year-old woman, you know? So she called him gay. And I noticed that when when something goes wrong in her life or she gets upset about something in her life, she'll start picking other people apart. Okay, so like for instance, she went to I'm just gonna make something up. She went to a movie or a dinner with somebody last night. Okay, but something else happened last night too. She'll talk about the person that she went to dinner with and she'll pick them apart, knowing that's not what she's upset about. She's upset about something that she did that didn't work out the way she wanted it to. So now she's going to pick apart and find fault with someone else. Deflecting. I think that's called deflecting. When you take the attention off of you and put it on somebody else, and you start blaming someone for something that has nothing to do with what you got going on. You know, it's the human condition. It's the human circumstance that intrigues me and interests me. And enigmatic people just like I can't explain it any better. They're like a case study to me, and it's I'm not looking at anybody like a lab rat. I'm just saying it's interesting. It's it's interesting. I think that's the wrong word. I don't want to say looking at somebody's life and while they're struggling is interesting. I want to say it it gives me a better insight into me and who I am because I've had my struggles. You know, I didn't always come socially correct. There were a lot of things I didn't know that I learned later. I don't want to say I learned late in life, but I learned later. Like things I think I should have known in my 20s, but I didn't learn until I was in my 40s. You know what I mean? But I think it all has to do with your surroundings, your upbringing, who was in your life, who wasn't in your life, who was able, who was capable, who even knew what they needed to teach you as a young girl growing up into a young woman. You know, certain things you just don't do in polite company, certain things you don't say. You know, if you want a friend, you have to show yourself friendly. And if you're talking about the very people you just hung out with a few nights ago, like a dog on social media, you're not showing yourself friendly, and those people are not going to be your friend. They might still invite you out, but they might be inviting you out just as their comic relief, you know, to watch you flail and flunk, you know. Um, I don't know. I think this lady struggles with her own self esteem. And then I tried to tell her, you really have to work on your self esteem and you really have to work on being you as a woman and being you as a person. Because, you know, when she first got to the country that she's in now, she didn't make it the way everyone else made it. She had to get stopped in another country because she didn't have a visa to move forward to the country she was supposed to be landing in. And she said the people that she was traveling with told her she didn't need a visa, when in fact she did need one. And my thing is, you know, when you travel, it's up to you to do your own due diligence and to know and have everything that you need to know and have when you travel. And you should not be leaving it up to anybody else and then being mad because you don't have what you're supposed to have. And she got stuck in another country for a day or two or something like that, maybe 3 or 4 days, until she got, you know, the proper documentation to go to the other country. Now I went through that when I went to Doha. I looked it up. If you look up on Doha, if you look up Doha and do you need a visa to enter Doha, it's going to tell you you don't. But when I got to the airport, I was told I needed a new that I had to have a visa. And I said, well, the Google says I don't need a visa. And they said, well, the laws just changed. I said, well, yeah, but they got to update people. And they said, well, we don't have anything to do with Google, which is true, which is true. So I had to pay for a visa, which was, I mean, it was $30. It was no big deal. And I wasn't going to stand there and argue. I'm in a foreign country. I'm not trying to get into an argument. I'm not trying to get in any trouble. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. If you say I need a visa, I'm going to get a visa or either go back home, right? Those are the choices. So, I paid my $30 for my visa and I went to my hotel. I mean, went to my apartment and it was all gravy from there. But she didn't have a visa, so she had to stay in another country. She had to stay in the layover country to wait for the embassy to open up so she could get a visa. And she was upset with the two people she was traveling with because they went on to the destination. And I'm like, you know, people pay for these airline tickets, and to make changes to your airline tickets, it costs money, you know, upwards of $200, $400. And she felt like they should have stayed and waited with her. I'm like, listen, you're a whole adult. Okay. You're safe. You've got your money to pay for your apartment or your hotel. They had gotten her someplace to stay with a friend or something like that. But she was so angry and so mad that they left her. She was ready to excuse me, she was ready to turn back around and go home. And I encouraged her. And I said, don't go back home. I said, you're going to be in London for a while. I said, just go out and explore. Just make this a part of the trip. This, guess what? You were supposed to go here, but now you're going here and here. Just make it a part of the trip. Don't why you She was really stressed. She was stressed because she was left by herself um in another foreign country. And I guess it was more than she was accustomed to. Maybe she's never really traveled like that before, and it just overwhelmed her. I think that's what it was. It really overwhelmed her. To be I mean, she was in London, but it overwhelmed her, I think, and she was very upset with the people that she traveled with. And I'm like, but maybe they didn't have the money to change their flight. You know, were you going to pay for them to change their flight? I would have felt bad if they had have even suggested to me, well, I'll hang back and wait with you since you didn't know. I would have been like, no, you go. I'm good. I'll be here for a couple of days, but excuse me, I will meet you in our destination in 3 to 4 days. You go. I would never impose upon someone like that. I couldn't even ask someone to do that. I wouldn't ask anybody to do that. I know what it costs. Maybe she didn't know that it would cost for them to change their tickets. I don't know. I don't know. But I could never ask anybody to do that. That was completely, you know, something on me that I should have known. And even if the information was wrong on the internet or whatever, um, I don't know. I don't know. And I think sometimes they require visas because, especially, I thought about this. I said, now, why does the internet say I don't need a visa? But when I got there, I needed a visa. But when my husband and I traveled to Dubai, which is a different country from Doha, but they're part of the AED, the United, uh, what is it? The Arab Emirates. What is AED? United the UAE, excuse me, United Arab Emirates. Doha and Dubai are all United Arab Emirates. So when I went to Doha, they said I had to have a visa. When my husband and I went together to Dubai, they said we didn't have to have a visa. I think I know what it was. I think when you travel as a single woman to the UAE, and because of all the, funny business that's been going on with some of those models that go over to the UAE, I think that's why they require, when you're a single woman, I think they want you to have a visa. They want to keep track of you. They want to know, they can keep track of you with your passport anyway. Okay. Um, but I think that visa gives them some extra connection to you. They want to know how long you're here. um, and if you're overstaying your stay, and because you can get into a lot of trouble, you can get fines for overstaying your time, because in certain places you can only stay 90 days at the most, and then you have to do like a residency thing if they allow a residency thing, and then you have to get the residency thing renewed, and if you don't renew that, you can be in trouble. And then, you know if your passport expires, you could be in trouble for that, and it's a whole, bunch of fees, and it could be a big problem. It could be a big problem. But I think because I went to Doha by myself, that's why they told me that I needed a visa. And they don't want to make it seem like, they're doing what they're doing, but they want to keep track of people, and especially single women traveling to the UAE. And I think that's why when I went to the UAE to Doha, they told me I needed a passport. So, but when my husband and I went together, we didn't have to have a visa, just a passport. Now, when I went to Dubai for the second and the third time, I wasn't asked to have a visa then either. But I guess they remembered me from, I don't know, my first trip with my husband. I guess they were like, this is a little old lady. She here by herself. She wants to go to the grocery store and look at all the food and go back to her apartment and sit on the balcony and go on a couple of tours here and there. And that's it. They watch you. They know where you are. Listen, these people over in the Middle East are so high tech. They are 10 to 20 years ahead of us. And I'm not just saying that. There's plenty of people who say that the US is behind China, the US is behind the UAE. We're really behind in so many things. And I mean we even publish it in our own media that we rank what 19 or 20 in our ability to read and comprehend. We rank 20 at 20. We're supposed to be the superpower, number one, right? Have you seen the cars in China? Oh my God. Have you seen the bridges and the infrastructure in Dubai? Oh my goodness. I was like, it was culture shock. When you talk about culture, when you talk about culture shock, it was culture shock for me when I went to Dubai. I was not expecting what I saw. Now, there are some parts of Dubai where it's not as glammed up and glitzy as downtown Dubai. Um, but like I said at the beginning of the video, that's everywhere. Everywhere's got a place where it's not as nice as the glammed up and glitzy part of, town. But yeah. Uh, she wants friends, but she doesn't show herself friendly. She goes out with people and then she talks about them really bad. And I don't know how you expect to keep friends like that. You get mad at a friend and you talk about them bad. If you have an issue with someone, go and talk to them. Don't bring that to social media. But I don't know. Sometimes people just don't know how to be. And it's sad. And it's even sadder when they fail at their own expense, when they could have been helped, but they didn't want to be helped. They wanted to, I don't know. I don't know. Let me get off that topic because I got my own stuff to deal with and I can't be talking. I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just saying that I find people, a lot of people, quite enigmatic. And I just like to look at people and think what makes them tick, what makes them do and say the things that they do. Because sometimes I have done the things that they have done, I have said the things that they have said. And if I can look at them and stand on the outside, because it's not until we see people from the outside that we realize that we do the very same thing. Because I've seen people do things and I've been ready to shake my booger finger, and then I've been like, well, wait a minute. You know what? I did that same thing. I said that same. Ooh. And did you see the way she spoke to that person? But you know what? I looked at one of my videos that I did, and I'm like, wow, you came off kind of loud and aggressive. What's wrong with you? Ugh. I'm talking about me. I'm looking at one of my videos and how I was speaking, and I didn't realize how loud and aggressive I was coming across. And I was like, ugh, ugh. That's not a good look, sis. And I learned I had to tone it down a little bit. Um, but I didn't know. We don't know until we're on the outside looking in. And sometimes being on the outside is looking back at a video that we did and we're like, oh, was that really me? Was I really acting like that? Was I really speaking in that tone? We don't realize it until we're on the outside looking in. And so, in looking at other people, I'm on the outside looking in at a behavior that I too may have exhibited. And then I'm trying to help that person. And I'm like, look, that's this is not a good look. You don't want to do that. You don't want to say that, you know? But there's the pushback, there's the fight back. You can't tell me what to do. Mind your business. I'm a whole woman over here. You can't, I'm grown. Okay, okay. So I just sit and watch. I just sit and watch. I hate to keep saying it's like a case study to me because I'm no doctor. I'm nobody to tell anybody else what to do. But for a lack of a better term, it's like a case study to me. And mm, it helps me with me. It really does. Anyhow, I've been on here for a long time. And something smells good. Somebody downstairs cooking something. My husband was in the kitchen, so he cooked something. I'm gonna see what's down there to eat. Because sometimes he doesn't always eat out on Saturdays like my daughter does. Sometimes he'll cook something. So I'm gonna go see what was cooked. I said I wasn't gonna eat anything else for the rest of the day, but I'm kind of hungry now. So anyway, thank you everyone who tuned in, and thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate y'all do. And let me see if there's any other comment. Because I see someone there. Yep, it's me. I've been seeing you travel a lot. Keep enjoying life. Oh, thank you, Harper. You're so sweet. Thank you. Okay, so all right, so I spoke to Love Plane, I spoke to Miss Kia, and I spoke to Harper's World. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I did not miss anybody, but thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the view, whether you tuned in and have been here for the entire video or you came here for the replay. I thank you for tuning in. This is I Am Everything Fresh and Sassy. Stay close, stay tuned. I'll see you when I see you. Yahweh willing. Sawubona Mngani. Should we go out with some music? We should go out with some music. Y'all know how I love my music. Y'all know how I love my music. And listen, if I meet my demise here on YouTube, y'all know it's because of the music. But you know what? Our music is so good. Our music is so good. It's so I don't like much of the music that they play um today. And then you've got all this AI music. Some of it's kind of funny, some of it's kind of cute, but our music was it. Listen, I feel bad for you if you weren't born between the 60s and the 70s. I feel bad for you because that was a whole era of music that I hope it will be repeated. I pray it will be repeated. But um a whole lot of babies came here because of the Commodores, because of the Isley Brothers, because of Earth, Wind, and Fire. We had real music with real words that made us fall in love. Oh my goodness. Our music could change your entire demeanor for somebody. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Our music. We're gonna go out with some music. Hold on. Oh, what we gonna play for the people? What we gonna play for the people? All right, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna put it in the middle because I realize we got some youngsters here. Hold on. I know we got the youngsters in the house. Okay. See, that's how I get caught up. I be listening to the beat, and then I forget about some of the words that I heard. Yeah. So, anyway. Sorry. Listen, YouTube, I don't own any rights. That's not my music. Please make sure that the people supposed to be getting paid for their music. Make sure they get their money off of this video. I make no money off of my videos, although my channel is monetized. Excuse me. Although my channel is monetized, I don't make any money off my videos because I like to play music on my videos. And I don't know. YouTube might get tired of me one day and say, look, it's over. It's a wrap. Anyway, listen, let me give you one little tip. This right here, Saratoga, I've been sipping on this. If you have never had a Saratoga, go out and buy you a Saratoga. Okay? It's going to cost you anywhere between $2.40 to $3.29. I paid $3.29 for one bottle. Get you a Saratoga. Put it in the refrigerator and let it get, I'm getting ready to make up a word now. This is the word for today. Let it get condensationally cold. What do I mean when I say condensationally cold? Because I just made that word up. I don't think condensationally is a word, but I just had made it up. Buy yourself a Saratoga water. Put it in the refrigerator and let it get condensationally cold. What I mean is, when you take it out the refrigerator, within a few seconds after taking it out the refrigerator, you should start to see condensation, water run down the side of the bottle. That's when you know it's cold enough. When it gets like that, don't let this water freeze, okay? I put it in the freezer to chill it really quick, but it's best to just put it in the refrigerator for like 25, at least 30 minutes, okay? Once it's cold, condensation running down the bottle, I want you to open that bottle and take 4 gulps. I don't know how they do it. This water is so carbonated. It will, listen, you know how people say, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me till I've had my Saratoga. You try this one time. If that Saratoga don't wake up your mouth and your body, I don't know what's wrong with you. Listen, I am a connoisseur of many things, including sparkling waters, flavored sparkling waters with no sweetener. I am a connoisseur of them. And those sparkling waters that are flavored, they don't have the bubble. They don't have the carbonation that this Saratoga water does. I don't know how Saratoga carbonates their water. They say they name a particular source where they get water from, but I'm like, I've never seen a source that's had sparkling water like that. Not like that. Treat yourself to a bottle of Saratoga water. It has to be cold. Do not drink it off the shelf. It has to be chilled for at least 30 minutes. All right? Treat yourself. And I think you will be hooked. I'm hooked. Okay? Listen. When I tell you I got a problem, I got a problem. When I tell you I have a problem, there's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. That's not all of them. And I'm upstairs in my room. This is my bathroom, but that's my bedroom next door. My bathroom's in my bedroom. My bedroom's over there. But anyway, I have a problem. Might not be such a bad problem to have, but I got a problem. But it's good. It's good. Try it. Try it. Try it. Try it. I think you will like it. Anyway, this is I Am Everything Fresh and Sassy. Thank you for tuning in. I had to burp. Nanga linga langa, ubu suku. No beteng boy misiswani. No tolo no tando. Dentanda no kimakai. I was speaking Zulu. Good night.